Recording in progress. Oh, I can't be seen with my glasses on. Gotta get in character, dude. You're not interviewing Millhouse, you're interviewing Ellis Jones. No, I'm just playing. So where should we start? Sorry about that with the ambush. I didn't do that on purpose.
I get it. No worries.
Uh
Yeah. Um, it was,
Khan just he was like when we were
I
traveling
appreciate the
around.
Russian moxie. I just didn't realize. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was just kind of our style. He always kind of gave me a pat on the back for just saying like record everything, get the rawest initial, take or whatever. Um,
That's a good policy. Yeah.
yeah, he was really impressed. I kind of the last time I did any video work, it was like skateboarding. So like he was pointing out that I just shoot the stuff like a skateboard video. So like
Yeah.
shotgun editing and shit. So, but he kept going off about how I should reach out to you, and that's why I did. I just wanted to
Oh, okay. That's nice.
clarify. Like, and I didn't do it right away because he told me this like back in the spring. And I've started to see better results when you're reaching out on behalf of a magazine than just like a regular dude. It's like, you want to be in my magazine? Like,
It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
like, hey, one thing I want to do,
Allows you to use the royal we, which is always has the imprimatur of authority.
what's that?
Saying
We,
we at whatever magazine
right. Yeah,
would
yeah, yeah.
like it. If yeah.
It feels really corny though. It feels like we're playing magazine. As a matter of fact, just for like plausible deniability, I'm introducing every issue as a fictitious parody of a magazine.
Okay.
Because we technically are. We're just kind of doing every magazine that we liked, Big
Right.
Brother, Mad Magazine, but with like a kind of a grown up twist in like I used to do a zine that was just all short stories, and I would like make different characters that write the short stories, and it was called Readers Digress. So it was
Ah.
kind of like the antithesis of like a punk zine because there was no cutouts and no art, no drawings, just writing. Like, um, I forget where I was going with that. I knew I was going to reach a point with weed where my short-term memory would start to fucking drop out.
It
But
happens.
I'm taking a break from the booze, so uh,
Ah.
got to up the pot. They actually just banned the legal form of weed here, so I got to go back to fucking buying weed old school.
What? Wait, you're in Texas, right?
Yeah. So they had
So
the
they recriminalized weed. I missed
all.
this.
All I know is like the store that I went to where you could buy the like THCA weed that's like pretty much real weed. It's like if you light it on fire, it turns into weed.
Okay.
You could buy it. It was good. And then they just like something happened in the courts where they're not selling it anymore. So I don't know if it's not decriminalized
Right.
in Austin. It could still be, but I still gotta buy it like old school style. Like I just fucking bought weed in the fucking parking lot of my apartment complex.
Right.
I haven't done a drug deal in the front seat of a car in a long time.
I mean, it's funny that legalization happened, which seems like as big a marker that we entered the future from my perspective growing up as any. But of course, it didn't happen. Everybody just kind of assumed, I guess, that it would be some weird federal statute that would kick in, and everybody would be freed from the jails that day, and everybody would be
No.
toking out in the parks and stuff. And it's this weird federal pizza pie of different states with different laws. Yeah. Texas, it isn't legal yet. That's funny.
I know.
It's hard to keep track of everything because, like, isn't Idaho? Don't they have legal weed there? It's
There's
like
so many, but Missouri, fucking
you'd
weird,
think
like
the order would, yeah, kind of
Minnesota,
conform to
everyone, they're
logic.
all
Yeah.
the same kind of redneck to me. Everyone up the I-35 corridor is like, these are all cities that are like hundreds of miles from other cities. It's not, I grew up I grew up in like the most densely populated town in Florida or county in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got like a lot of fresh water, new perspectives, like I moved around a lot. We talked earlier about being a tumbleweed, but I was like raised like that. So you go to one school and everything that was cool over at the other school isn't cool anymore. So
Right.
me as a youngster, like elementary school, I saw through that shit real quick.
Right. I
It's
mean,
like,
that's the classic transfer student dilemma is that
yeah,
you show up as the cool kid from your old school, or it's like you've reinvented yourself, but you get it wrong.
Funny point, funny enough. Like, so my friends call me Millhouse because I wear I've been wearing glasses since I was like 6 or 7. And I look
That's
like
me.
Millhouse from The Simpsons. And
I knew who. Yeah. Okay. As opposed to Richard Milhouse Nixon. Yeah.
yeah, but I always wanted to pick my fucking nickname when I moved to new towns, and the teacher would never go for it. I remember this one time
You don't get to choose your nickname. Yeah.
this kid
That's
moved
yeah.
from New York, and he just introduced himself as Spike, and he was Spike. I was like, how come that doesn't happen when I move? Like, they're not gonna let the kid. My brother was fat. I had glasses. Like, it was the '90s. It was allowed. They were allowed to make fun of us and hate on us.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it was one of the only disabilities that you could like look down on someone. I was just
I mean,
rewatching LA Confidential, and I like that they put that in there. He's like, lose the glasses. No one's gonna take you serious. People forget if we don't like. We're both glasses guys. How long you been speculating?
I needed glasses when I was 20.
Oh, okay.
Before that, I had reasonably good vision. Yeah.
You're new to it. You're a newbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a. What do they call that in the deaf community? I'm not a natural glasses wearer. I'm an adoptee.
Yeah. I used to when I've been wearing them.
Convert? I don't know. Yeah.
I've been wearing them since the Bugle Boys were like this big on my face, dude. Like I used to look like the kid in Jerry Maguire.
Hmm.
Like, um, so what should we talk about? Should we touch on stuff that we went through yesterday? Oh,
Up to you.
I watched the Gavin McGinnis thing. It was weird. I think I might have been drunk or fell asleep or something when I watched that the first time or tried to. Because I do remember the part where he tackles you into the bushes.
Yeah.
There's so much more in there that I couldn't have possibly skipped through it because Tubi has like a million fucking commercials, you know.
Right. It's
So
hard to scroll through. Yeah.
yeah.
Or scrub. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I was just shocked. Kind of like it's kind of embarrassing because I just don't really. I'm not like a political person, so I didn't really even know what the fucking Proud Boys were up to. They've just kind of been this like looming force out in the distance because I'm like I'm not on anybody's side. Y'all can just keep arguing about that shit. Like, but so it was the first. That was really the first look at. It was a good little bang, crash course
Right.
of
Right.
like what they've been up to for the last 10 years or however long,
Right.
15 years. Like,
Well, I don't know what I would have known about them had Gavin not been my boss early on at Vice, because that was where my interest in that when did they start, like 2015 or so, and then they become weird and political, and then all the shit leads up to a bunch of them being at January 6th. Um, like I followed all that because it was funny to me that my old boss like started this weird, kind of sorcerer's apprentice army of little
yeah,
hymns.
I was in
Right.
Brooklyn around that time. I think that was, it doesn't matter. But I was hearing things about this, and I have like a number of friends who are like very liberal, but very alcoholic. And like the allure of like a men's drinking club would have 100% appealed to them in
Right.
pre-political days because they're almost like Screwdriver, where it seems like there was this somewhat level of like innocence before they went fully political. Maybe I missed that
They
part.
got all screwed up. They have that one
Yeah.
album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like all screwed up. Like I have a compilation with that on it. People come over and see it and they're like, Screwdriver for real? And I'm like, you have to explain to some
It's
newbies.
a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
That's a hard hill to die on, though.
but yeah, so it was really informative because like I said, I don't pay attention to it and it put it in a quick, dense little package that I could like really understand the gravity of it because I didn't know anything about any of those assaults or fucking the violent. I literally cannot care less. Like I could get into it. Everything's a long story with me, but um, just since the whole Trump guy came into the fucking conversation, I was like, all right, here we go. George W. 2 again. I guess in short, the first election I ever got to vote in was George W. Bush, the first one, right?
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
clearly lost. You said you used to listen to those old like compilations. Remember that Guttermouth had a a song that said, "I voted once, but I didn't win. I'll never vote again." Like that was kind of my mentality because it was so
Yeah.
obvious
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it got stolen. And then there was the ensuing, what, 8 years of fucking Rock Against Bush, which was so, I mean, people didn't even really even understand how fucked everything was and who was doing it. And and then when Obama gets elected, he's supposed to be the hope. I'm still young enough that I'm ideological, like thinking there's hope for the future. And then everybody just starts hating on him, the people who were fucking going after Bush. So
Right.
by then, by the time you start talking about a reality star being on TV, I'm checked the fuck out. I don't want to hear any of that shit. Like, so for, I don't know, since then, I haven't paid any attention to it. And it was really fucking eye-opening, jaw-dropping. But um
Oh, the doc?
the just the segment of like kind of their reign of terror, like the evolution of the Proud Boys section,
Oh,
like
oh,
that part, it was the least that I knew the least about that than anything else. Like
oh,
I
okay.
kind
That's
of
funny.
knew
That's
the
I
gap
feel like
in.
that's when we were making it, that was the thing I assumed that would be the one thing everybody did know. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, that, but
Got
that
to,
just
yeah.
shows you I
Kind of
live over it.
address it as quickly as possible.
It was
Yeah.
great, but it was perfect for somebody who really doesn't truly like doesn't have an interest in it to get the information like that. It was great. That was
Thank
top
you.
notch. But what was the part that really got me was you pointed out the last time we talked that you kind of did like you put all the post-it notes up of like the theories is how he turns into the supervillain that he does. And I kind of went through like a similar thing in that article I did on Khan. Like, I
Mhm.
don't want to get, we don't want to go too in depth on that. People have to read it. But the whole time I was hanging out with him and working for him, working with him, like, I was never really sure if this was the product of a traumatic brain injury. I said that, like, I say that multiple times in the article. Like, especially like he told me a story of the time that they played at the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco, and that he banged his noggin pretty hard trying to do a stage dive and nobody caught him.
Shit.
And then I guess he like ran off and kind of maybe went on a bender, like but he seems to think that that's like the period of time that his behavior changed into very erratic. And
Head injury will do it. Yeah.
but I mean I went through the whole all of those options.
Precision equipment up here, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. All those options that you went down though, I went through those with Khan where I was like, is this just an elaborate troll? Is this like a are you doing some like Charlie Sheen blowback where you know create a little controversy? It's always easier to go from bad to good than good to great, you know? Like so yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I stayed sober long enough to watch it. It was great.
Thanks. Yeah.
Those are my notes.
One of
And
the few.
the what do you call it? Oh, I didn't know that you got like a fucking basically like a Canadian Oscar for that.
Yeah. I mean, which is also the Canadian Emmy. I was, we were up against like it was like a Gaza doc and a Ukraine doc. So I didn't even go to the ceremony. Um, they called me from stage, my, the director and co-executive producers.
Oh, that's
Um, what a treat. It's my, yeah, it's like, I think some of the shit we made at Vice got actual Emmys. But never had a statue. So now I got the statue.
they just
Uh,
mailed it to you. That's
they
cool.
mailed it to me. Yeah. It's actually it's I gotta say, I
Where
don't
is
put
it?
much stock in trophies and awards and things like that. But this thing's nice and heavy. Here, I'll go get it. Give me 1 second. It's they keep it over by the door because this thing's got a good weight to it. You could really, it'd make a nice defensive weapon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Mom must be proud of that one.
Oh, she is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never had a trophy.
Anytime, anytime
Um,
someone other than myself validates the things I've done, she loves it.
yeah, because she's like, I knew I was right. Been hedging my bets on this guy.
Yeah, yeah. Long-term investment.
Yeah. Um, you got anything you want to talk about?
Ah, shit, dude.
I got some notes, but I figured I've been
Let's do your notes.
dog
Yeah,
jabbering. You want to do that?
hit them up.
You mentioned a lot. I watched, first of all, I've been on like a Thomas Morton bender. This is kind of
Huh.
weird. I've never been much of a personality junkie. Like, just to give you an idea of my writing style, like, I kind of have, I write fiction and I have characters that are amalgamations of like all my friends. So I kind of understand how to like dissect people a little bit, you know? And,
Yeah.
but I mulch them down into these fake characters. And, but this is like weird trying to do stories on or with people because you kind of have to become obsessed with them, dude. Like I've been listening to nothing but and watching Thomas Morton stuff just because I've never really tried to like prepare for something like this. Like most of the time it's like a conversation or we already have it worked out or we just get drunk and see what happens. you know?
Right, right, right.
Anyway, so I just want to point that out. I'm sure maybe at some point you felt that way. I feel like I'm stalking you. I'm like it's been like a 24-hour Thomas Morton takeover over here.
Oh,
Um,
right. Yeah. I mean, the only distinction I would say with that is, yeah, whether or not you want to fuck the person
no, no,
ultimately.
no, no, no.
That's the only difference,
Yeah,
right?
not mine. You're not my type, dude.
No, it is weird to like, dude, it's spent a year researching researching the subject of a doc, and it's you get real, you get a good look at all their dirty laundry. There's a lot of,
Yeah,
you do basic public record searches and it's all laid out there for you, and then it's up to you not to, not to just make it all tittle tattle, or to, you know,
yeah. Um, I don't know why, but that made me think like at the end of your documentary, it kind of feels like the end of Unsolved Mysteries. Like that same kind of like I got all the information, but like I wanted some resolution, and there is
leave
no.
them hanging. Yeah, well, it's unresolved.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I mean I'm not saying that is a bad thing. There's nothing you can do
Check
about
in 10 years. Yeah.
it. Yeah. Um, okay, I'm starting to calm down. I was a little stoned and overly caffeinated. Oh, one of the things you always talk about is that you were a goth when you were a kid, and I was goth
The
adjacent.
group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. What was that?
I said, and I was goth adjacent when I was younger. Like I hung out with a lot of
That's
goth.
what I moved into, and that's kind of the better place to be.
It truly
True
is.
goth, true goth's kind of a little goofy,
There's hot
you know.
shit. I mean, it's great. So, but one thing I was just curious about, have you been to the castle in Tampa?
No, I know it. I've never
You know
been.
about it? Yeah. I just
Always wanted to. I haven't spent much time in Tampa.
It's been coming up a lot. I think because there's some references to Florida in some of our articles, so people will,
Yeah,
when they read them, they'll be like, "Oh, I love the castle." Um,
epicenter of goth and death metal, right?
and you were, yeah, yeah, yeah. One of our guys, Brandon Bristol, he lives in San Francisco, but he's from Tampa. He's in a band in SF that's like death metal. Like he grew up in
Mhm.
that whole death metal thing out there. So it's kind of a Tampa band too. You were roommates with Hamilton Morris.
We were, yeah, as covered by the New York Times.
Yeah, his dad made my favorite documentary,
Which one?
Vernon, Florida.
That one's great.
Yeah, I love that one. The whole backstory and everything with it too, with the whole Nub City thing. Like I'm sure you know about that. Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I that's how I described my time in Omaha, Nebraska. It's like a whole town was kind of like, what's he doing here? Like
Mm.
it was very strange. Um, yeah, I mean, dude, there's so much. I think I'm kind of like stumbling here because there's so many fucking stories, dude. Like I'd never heard the
It's
one
all right. No.
here. Like, let's go to the back to the documentary. I'd never heard the fucking office story where you got dosed with heroin, and I didn't even know you guys actually bought the drugs. I thought
Of
those were
course.
props. Like, yeah.
Oh, like we lie about it? Nah, that was bullshit. That it just like that would be more trouble than what we actually did.
You think so?
Um, yeah, like are you gonna mock up? Because what did we buy for that article? So the article you're talking about, we bought a bunch of street drugs. We took them to a guy who was at MIT who did, I forget, it was like microscopy or whatever, to determine how pure they were. A random sampling of New York street drugs, and so we bought coke, crack, heroin. I think we took weed, ecstasy, maybe acid. There's wait, I forget if there's crystal meth or not. Anyway, it was long. I mean, this is in 2005.
Yeah.
Um, but what would be the point of that?
No, I mean,
To
I wanted it to be real. I just didn't know. No, that was one of those things like,
Oh yeah,
before we may have had Google, but I think probably me and the people who were sitting around reading that didn't even have phones because we were broke skaters and you're still in that, I'm sure you remember the period of time in your
it was
life where
pre-phone too. When's the
you could
iPhone?
Google something
2007?
and you're like, no, dude, that's made up. Like, that's fake. Like, so not me. I mean, I didn't know either way. I'm kind of an impartial person, but like, of course it should
Yeah.
be, but I just wasn't. I didn't know. And then to do that I mean, that's kind of some sociopath shit with Gavin though, like with those guys being recovering heroin addicts. I mean,
Oh yeah, it was
right.
really mean.
Yeah,
It was
that's
funny
rude.
though.
That's really
And I
fun.
laughed. And the reason the story you're referencing, when we were buying the drugs to take to MIT to test for how pure they were for an article, it was a drugs issue. It was I think April or May 2005. Um, Heroin was a lot, buying things like coke and weed were easy for a 20-year-old, but I had to find a number for, I had never taken heroin. I'd been around it a little bit in Georgia, but not in New York so much. It was out of vogue. Those were, the early 2000s were the cocaine days. Heroin kind of makes a comeback 2007 or 8ish, around literary people. Anyway, it took me a while most of the other stuff was easy enough to find based on, you know, numbers for guys I already had, but I had to ask around a little bit for the crack and the heroin. And so when I finally got the heroin, I called. I was excited to have the number, so I just used the office phone to call. And as I was calling, it was 10 in the morning, and I kind of realized I was like, oh, this is stupid. I'm gonna have to wait till tonight. But somebody picked up, asked for the address, said 15 minutes, which is, thinking back, it is completely crazy. And then I went over to Gavin and was like, hey, drug car's coming. I was like, I don't want to fuck this thing up by getting in and being, not asking the right way, anything of that sort. Would you go make the purchase and I'll, take the drugs with? And so he made the editor, who was a recovered heroin addict, come with him, as I mean, is that even part of the prank? Anyway,
Uh,
the editor went. Jesse went. He was a good sport about it. They bought a bundle, which is 10 baggies of heroin. Came back in. Jesse and one of the founders, who's also a former heroin addict, were kind of talking to each other, just as former addicts are wont to do. And I had the bundle over on my desk, and Gavin came over and he was like, how much of this do we actually need to take to the guy? Could I steal? And he stole like 2 bags. And he walked over to them,
it's a
and he was holding
little wax bags.
little glass line bags, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he's holding the bag and like kind of looking at it, and he gets like right up, kind of right between their two heads, and he's like, hey guys, does this look right to you? Do you think, like, did we get ripped off or something? And he popped it right in their faces, and they both slammed their hands over their face, and like took off in a sprint out of the room. And he brought me with him because he said it was going to be funny, and in fact it was. And I was laughing like an asshole, and like half the cloud of, aerated powder kind of went in my mouth. And so that was the first time I did smack. Oh, and then later that day, I had to buy crack from a photographer
Did you smoke the
who,
crack to fucking like pep up a little bit from the heroin?
I didn't smoke crack that day. I just had to buy it. That was the last two things we had to buy to test at MIT were heroin and crack.
Ah,
And so while high, I went out to Bushwick and met a guy who sold me a little vial of crack. Yeah. Although it was funny because it was, you spent time in Brooklyn, out in Bushwick, where,
yep. I lived
you,
in Myrtle
there's
Broadway.
away. Yeah, exactly. Kind of
Yeah.
around there, but like you get off the path from where
If you go
there's
away from the
one
light,
of the two trains. And
yeah.
like, you can take a bus, but invariably wherever you're going is going to be a like 1 mile walk from the bus stop.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's where I was going to buy the crack. And I remember kind of halfway through my mile on those like huge ass avenue blocks out in Bushwick, I started running because I was like, it'd be stupid not to. It's like, I will get there quicker.
Oh
You know,
my
I was like,
God.
why don't I do this? I'm 20. Why don't I do this more often? I should just run places. Why don't people run places? This was, novel thinking,
I've never.
in my sweatered brain. And, and I remember catching my reflection in a car window, and I was drenched in sweat. And I looked like, do you remember like into the 80s, early 90s, the drug PSAs where it looks like it's like a guy running and he's covered in sweat and he looks like he's in a race or
Yeah,
something like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. And
And
then the hand comes up and
the
grabs him.
hand,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah,
Then, and it's a cop. He's running from
yep,
the cops, and the cop has just got him. And
yep.
then it says, no one ever says when I grow up, I want to be a
Be a
junkie.
junkie. I know
And that's
exactly
exactly
what
what I
he is.
fucking looked like. And
Yeah.
then I bought some crack. Yeah.
fuck yeah. That's so cool that I reference that one all the time. Or do you remember the
That's
PSA
a
where
classic. Yeah.
Henry Rollins uh he red lines a car until the fucking engine explodes and he's like, this is what crank does to your heart. Like that
Oh,
was
I never saw that one. That's
yeah.
with Rollins in it. That's amazing.
Yeah, with Henry
He
Rollins.
was
Yeah.
doing anti-speed PSAs, huh?
Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Khan's got some kind of I'll send if you want me to send you I'll send you a link to the new issue when it comes out. But he's got an article in there
Yeah.
about how he's got I didn't really read it to be honest with you. I told him you're the only person I'm not gonna like edit or censor, you know. I think he really needs this as part of his healing process.
Mm.
And apparently he had something to do. Have you heard about this Cramps record that Henry Rollins and Ian McKay have scared up? It's like
No.
alternate takes and
Huh.
like covers of songs and just stuff. I didn't know that Poison Ivy was so meticulous. Like,
Ah,
here's the
yeah.
real audio file in the band. Like, so there's a ton of like stuff they recorded, I think, with Alex Chilton.
Hmm.
And yeah,
What years around? What years around?
seven probably. I want to
Okay.
77 to 79, maybe. If I had to guess, if I had to second guess myself, I would say 79.
Right.
But Khan apparently got because he's friends with Miriam from
Hmm.
Norton Records. I know you know that. It's a Brooklyn thing. And she was the first drummer of the Cramps.
Okay.
Yeah, and he got a hold of the original snare drum, which is supposed to be like the Cramp sound,
Ah,
and sold it to Henry Rollins for his punk rock museum. And then, like I said, I didn't even read the article. I'm going to when it comes out in print. I don't like reading on the screen as much as I do in a
I
book.
get you. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So you're just running it sight unseen.
his article,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I know he won't betray me. Like, I know he won't do something fucking stupid. I mean, I skim through them, but I haven't like really sat and read and thought about it because he has a very
You just plunk it in layout and
yeah, I
let it
do
go.
this all when you
Right.
see it, I mean, it's like a zine. It's perfect bound, it's got a nice glossy cover, but it's like just photo paper, like
Okay. Yeah.
grayscale photocopied. So I do it all in a Word document and just sequence it all to where it's a nice
Yeah.
flip through. And I was really trying to have like less, people kept saying less words, too much reading. And I'm like, that's kind of what I'm going for. But I also know that's not really that sustainable. Like we're not trying to release it every month, but
Hmm.
to do a
Yeah.
magazine with 30,000, 35,000 words,
That's a book. Yep.
look, yeah. Um, and so I really tried to keep it minimal on this one, and it's still like I think it's 1,000 words more than the first one. So yeah. Whatever. I mean, they're kind of expensive. So I feel like it's better quality. You get to live with it a little bit longer, like it's, more bang for your buck.
It's nice to make something nice.
Yeah. And what I think, what I've noticed is, I don't know if you ever think about this because I know you write a lot and you're doing like that whole show on books. You're doing like a book show, Reading Rainbow for adults.
Did I tell you about that, or is that in the
No,
ether?
man, dude, I told you I did some research, bro. I've been digging into Thomas Morton.
We're working on that. Yeah, we haven't started putting them up yet, but yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think about like what uh purpose books serve in the average person's life,
Hmm.
like, and it kind of, I think about that, like when I structure it. Um, like some people are just airplane readers or toilet readers, or some chicks only read performatively by the pool when they're in Palm Springs. Uh,
Counts. Yeah.
so I feel like with the magazine, we got all that. Plus, like, girl, if you're like, whatever, heterosexual partner, or maybe even gays, I don't know, but I'm seeing where like if some skater buys this magazine, his girlfriend might pick it up and read it, and there's some stuff in there that she'll like too, like
Something for the ladies. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a
Uh,
good dictum.
victim.
I said dictum.
Oh,
That's a good
oh.
editorial dictum.
I'm not. You make me feel really stupid sometimes, dude, because you got like
Oh,
you got the, you got you got an amazing vocabulary, and mine is like I'm library educated, so I've acquired my vocabulary like a parrot, dude, where I don't really know what things mean. Like meta, that word, every time somebody
yeah.
uses it, I secretly have to Google what meta means, dude. Like I don't know what I can't like can't understand the concept of it. Like
I gotta look shit up all the time.
yeah,
That's actually you're or you grew up near Clearwater. I was gonna
Yeah.
say that's um the month I spent dorking around in Scientology without ever being able to finish the article about it. I was exposed to learning tech, which I believe is like the story I heard is Tom Cruise kind of got brought into Scientology via learning tech, um, due to either dyslexia or some sort of learning disability that was he was having trouble with scripts. This is on like supposedly on the set of Risky Business, I
Oh,
think.
wow.
But the one thing I remember from it, and I did like I didn't the courses they were getting me to sign up for, started at $40 or $50 a class. And so I did as much as I could with my 21-year-old's budget. But
This
one of the
wasn't.
elements of learning tech, and it's like all these, kind of little the nuts and bolts things within Scientology, like auditing, like which I believe is kind of ripped off in 1930s, like one of the sub sub schools of psychoanalysis. Whose name applied something I forget. Anyway, they're like anytime you don't know the definition of a word, they're like read with the dictionary and go look it up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that is in fact a good idea.
That
You
was
know,
always my mom's main thing. I would ask her what something means, and she would go, "What do we do when we don't know what something means? Get the dictionary off the wall." Yeah.
there, yeah.
Um, oh, you sent something in a text message, and I was like, I don't think I've ever read that word. I had to look it up, and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh,
Oh,
you described the wave of J school students as an eradicable fungus when they entered into Vice. Do you not want that on the record? I'll edit it out if you want. But
oh no, I'll stand by that. Yeah, no,
well, I mean, this is the thing. I think this is why I'm a little nervous, or have been. I'm starting to mellow out a little, but like, dude, there's
uh-huh.
just you went through so many years and then so many like changes like through that. And so
There's a
I'm
lot of
kind
growth.
of
Yeah,
torn between asking about like I kind of just want to hear about early Vice office shenanigans and like partying in Brooklyn. And then I kind of want to hear, more
understandable.
like
Yeah.
the serious story of like the end, watching the ground kind of get or dissolve under your feet, like maybe I'm imagining like.
That's yeah, that's not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, like for instance, I was working as a taxi dispatcher in like 2012, and this was like
Where was
right
this?
San Francisco, and
Okay.
this was right when the rideshare apps came out. So I'd be
Uh,
sitting at work with a radio trying to get somebody picked up to go to the airport, and then I'd be out with my girlfriend on the weekends, and we'd be taking Ubers because we couldn't get a cab, or
right.
cabs. Or there's a ton of like red tape in San Francisco with the cab industry.
Hmm.
But what was I getting at? Oh, I was watching that ground like leave
Yeah,
me. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? I was
The end of
watching
an
water
industry.
fill the boat. Like,
Right.
so I mean, I don't know. What would you want to talk about more? Like the maybe the fun early years of Vice, or like the the dark dramatic demise.
I mean, fun's usually more fun.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. All
That's
right.
where my mind goes. I always say I was like I worked at Vice
So
for
well, okay,
15
well, fine.
years.
Since this is an adult magazine, and since I'm nervous, I'm just gonna go to like the childish questions. But when I see you like going everywhere, doing everything, and like it seems like you're traveling a lot. Like, were you married this whole time? Because the first thing I think of is like all the ass I would be getting in these new towns. You know what I mean? Like,
I was married to 2012. I mean, we we would hit the ground in countries and kind of work our asses off.
so there's no
Uh,
time to hang out at the bar and
a
move.
little, but it wasn't. Yeah, not enough time to kind of foster even like a hookup necessarily. Depends, depending on where we were. It was um I mean, it was mostly just us, and we'd be at the tail end of usually a long sweaty day that had a 3 or 4 hour van ride kind of tacked onto it. So I don't think we weren't
So it's not the
we
rock star
weren't, we
life.
weren't rolling in the tail. Yeah.
It just, I think
Hey,
from the outside looking in, it looked like everyone who worked for Vice was like a rock star doing drugs, fucking everything in sight, you know. Um, but
I mean, we had fun, we partied, but like, yeah, I don't know about
Um,
rock star.
I just have office shenanigans written here. I think you already said a pretty good one about the heroin. That's got to be the most extreme thing. Besides the nudity, I mean, I couldn't believe the walking around with his dick and balls flopping out, Winnie the Pooh style,
I
Gavin.
mean, that happened a lot, but yeah, and you get used to it at a point. You're just like, oh, must have shit his pants again. Back to what I'm transcribing. Yeah, I would say getting dosed with heroin was probably the most extreme office prank.
Did you when you moved, so you moved to New York the day before 9/11. We talked about that last time.
Not alone was my first day of college in New
Talked
York
about it a
City.
lot.
Yeah.
But did you live in the city or did you live in Brooklyn back then?
I went to NYU and I was in a dorm. So
Oh,
it's on in the one on Broadway and 10th Street, right across from Grace Church. Or I think that's Grace. Uh the sort of the middle village. Like what I guess you could still call Greenwich Village since it's neither
that's like right, isn't
east nor west.
I can never recall seeing signage for NYU, but people, I'm always near there and people are like, yeah, but this is NYU. And I'm like, I couldn't tell. Like to me, it's just in script, but
Right,
it's
right.
always when I'm on my way to Washington Square Park. So that's just, I know when
Well,
somebody says it's over by NYU, then it's over by.
that's the thing. It's like, yeah, the 3 or 4 blocks surrounding the park are
I love that
basically
fucking place.
in a
I love
colony.
Washington Square Park, man. Goddamn.
It's
Both of them
it's
actually. The one in New York and San Francisco. They're both great little people watching. Little city zen gardens. Um, did they have the joke about the fucking NYU dive team back then?
well, what? Because of the kids who jumped
The library, like
off
jump
at
off the
the
wall.
at Bopst off the library's like 12th floor.
So you've heard this one.
Yeah. Well, wait. What's the joke though? I mean, I was there when that was happening.
Like it's not, there's
But,
no dive team. It's just people who commit suicide. It's like,
oh,
or unalive themselves, whatever. A buddy
that
of mine,
that needs a little workshopping. I would have to say, but yeah,
no, I
yeah, there
heard this
was. I think
from,
it was four, and it
this
was
is not,
two. At least two of them were in the library, which has this huge
yeah.
atrium that supposedly had like a trompe l'oeil kind of like tile pattern so that it would look like spikes to deter people from jumping. But I was like, you're already killing yourself. Why not? How's that going to help? Eventually, whatever. And they had these weird staircases that were like, after it happened a couple times, I was like, well, they are easy to jump off of. You just kind of, you just throw your leg over the little guardrail and then they put a big, plastic, like the plexiglass shield at like a gas station in a bad neighborhood over the entire hanging staircase. Um, yeah, it was a weird little suicide cluster. There was
Yeah.
because I think it was two in the library. There was one who lived just I think in an apartment, all in the same, I think in the same year.
Oh wow. But I'm just wondering, I mean, so if that was happening back then, I
One of
would,
them was on mushrooms supposedly, and was yeah, maybe I'm making this up. It was like I thought one of them was part of the dive team, if there was such a thing. One of them was a swimmer or something, or high dive kind of
oh my
guy.
God, maybe that's where the joke comes from. Because this isn't, I didn't write that. Like a friend of mine who's actually kind of like my friend group's version of Gavin McGinnis, where we're not sure if this like fiscal conservative right wing shit is real or not, you know. Um,
Got it. Yeah.
but he told me about that, and so, but he told me about that recently. Like I was just hanging out with him a couple years ago, and so for it to, this must be a long-standing thing if it was going on back then, right?
I mean, I don't know that it extended very far. This would be 2002, 2003 ish. I remember there being either 3 or 4 jumping suicides in that span of time.
Yeah. Hmm.
Three makes a trend, right?
Yeah. Speaking of unaliving, what was that reminding me of? Something. Oh, I dated this chick who was like she worked some kind of high up administrative job in airports, and
Mm-hmm.
she was like, you would not believe the amount of industrial accidents and suicides that happen in airports.
In airports, I know Las Vegas and Orlando. Supposedly, they're like the Cornell of the airports that they have. They are head of the pack.
Oh, really? I so you knew
For
about this?
presumably the same reason. People lose their shirt in Vegas and then can't go home to face the wife, or a little bit of a not inverted, but people go to Disneyland and or Disney World, blow too much money, may duck out, like may, do go full Florida project and duck out on their family, um, sleep with a prostitute, and that, yeah, can't face uh can't face the rest of their life back home.
Yeah.
Because they
Funny,
had that big, there's
the,
that right over the where the TSA is, there's that big, it's another big atrium with a hotel inside the airport that had little balconies, um from which I think someone jumped, but this is all you know received wisdom from, I didn't even
I mean,
remember.
dude, I just mentioned that like off cuff. Like I was
Yeah.
flabbergasted by that, and of course you know it. Like, that's
Well, I
fucking.
just know those two. I know that,
Because I mean,
and
I think most people's common, is like the Golden Gate Bridge or something. I mean, like what else is there that's like,
sure.
or there's always a local spot where this is where people go to jump when they had enough. Like,
Right, right, right.
yeah, I don't know how this took that turn. Um, oh, me and my uncle were talking last night about how you got kind of like a like the funniest thing about when you do interviews or like your little embedded on location kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing is that you have this like, remember I was telling you yesterday about like how I appreciate the tact where you're like, you're just the fairness, doing your job, what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be objective, you know what I mean? But like you make these like little you make these like little facial expressions that are almost like reminiscent of like a Mike Judge movie or a cartoon, like
Hmm.
where it's like we're in on the it's almost like a gym in the office where you're just not looking at the camera when you're doing it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like with the way that you're kind of like tactfully responding to certain things that people are saying, it almost gives it this Mike Judge feel where like you're in on the joke. Cause like there are people who really think that King of the Hill is like a conservative show, like they don't get that like nobody is portrayed
Like,
in a good light in this, like, or at least
like that's
one,
like South Park conservatism, right? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that
yeah.
anything that doesn't toe the line, yeah, must be part of the opposing side.
Yeah. My uncle's an old Florida redneck. He's like, I like that fucking baby balls. We were having this whole discussion. I was having this entire discussion, like
Yeah,
comparing you to, like the Mike Judge subtle, like bringing us in on the joke. It's like, if you're aligned with Thomas when this person is saying this thing, like a preacher, like, and then the little facial expressions that you have, it's like, it just adds that, like, I don't know what to say, man. I don't have words for that. But again, it's just Mike Judge is just the only like thing that comes to mind. Like,
I'll
um,
take that. Fucking love Judge. Yeah.
yeah, me too. I'm gonna have to edit this into like clips or something. You know, you know what I'm thinking of doing with the last one is, if it's okay with you, is just using the audio, and I've been wanting to do like a radio show,
Okay.
just have some of the banter as like a radio segment or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, of
Oh,
course.
you know what? I was hyped. I hadn't seen anything you've done in like a while, and I was always really fucking moved by not moved, but I always just thought it was like one of the coolest things about New York City is the rat hunters. There was an Ira Glass like This American Life or something about him, the Jack Russell Terrier
Right.
Rat Hunter Dog Club, and then because
Probably what I ripped off. Yeah.
no, I don't think it's ripped up. I just honestly like looking.
Well, they've been doing it forever. Yeah. I mean, I had to find out about it some way, and it may, and depending on what year the This American Life thing is. I mean, every story is ripped off from something 20 or 30 years ago that I watched on either,
It's funny,
a documentary
you
or
say that
or
because it came out so much.
BBC
Like
news.
I always look to Vice or you specifically as like kind of a breaking edge on some like, oh wow, I never knew something like that. You know what I mean? Like you would never know the amount of people who commit unaliving in airports. So to have heard that Ira Glass first and then see you doing it like quite a while later, I was like, oh, this must just be how this shit works. I didn't think of it as like it's like these guys have to go, like these guys are the kind of journalists they are because these guys they're listening to this kind of shit because
Because
not
we watch a
everybody
lot of
lives.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. No.
yeah,
And kind of like digest all our influences. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's
And
you know, this
it's
is
a
how you
new,
find out about things,
yeah,
right?
it's a new piece. I just always, it's
You
funny
just
when
kind
you
of
listen
climb the
to a lot
ladder.
of NPR or like NPR programs in whatever cities you're in, and then 10 years down the road, then there's like a documentary or a Netflix movie about it. And it's like, oh,
Right.
so this is just the chain of information, you
Right,
know?
right, right.
Like,
I
yeah.
think I think it's Janet Malcolm who worked for the New Yorker who has that book. Shoot, is it called The Murderer and the Journalist? Sorry to do this on my phone, but I
No,
want to
no,
say,
no, it's fine.
oops, that's wrong. Where talking about covering a murder, I believe in Tennessee, for the New Yorker, and the way, kind of the way it happened was that it was covered in the local newspaper, and it either then kind of like caught the attention of one of the national newspapers, and that's how uh, the New Yorker writers read about it. But that it goes from quick on the scene reporting or a series of reporting in the local paper, which then gets kind of massaged into or re-reported by national level news figures like the New York Times or the Washington Post or whatever, and then gets turned into, I forget what they call an adaptation, but one of those grandiose fuck off New Yorker pieces, and that there's a chain
Yeah,
journalism. Yeah,
that was just my first like that specific story was like my first like, oh, so that's how they do it. Because I come from that period of time where you watch skate videos or listen to records, kind of trying to decode them,
right.
how'd they fucking do that? Like they gotta have
They
more
always
than
hope
four
for a
tracks.
cooler way to discover something, like you just like accidentally walk in upon a scene that no one else has covered or anything like that. But especially in New York, it's like anything on that island is going to have multiple stories written about it. Like anything that's existed for more than a few years will have been covered, and it's just you can wait, you can find a new angle on it.
Yeah.
It's
And sometimes
because
it's just I think it's okay to like do just
bring
your
something up.
style. Everybody has their own style of making a documentary. Like
Right. Yeah.
I'm super overwhelmed by B-roll. Do you do all your own like shooting and editing and voiceovers and shit? Or do you
I mean,
work?
I do all my voiceovers, and I will sit with an editor. I can't edit, and I've shot things before, and most of the footage was tactfully left on the cutting room floor. I'm not very good at either of those things.
Yeah, I don't think
So I work with people. I work there are a bunch of camera people who I'd work with regularly, and then I'll sit with I'll work with an editor to make a piece work
yeah.
or something like that. But I never learned whichever program is currently in use. So
Use
I can't
iMovie.
edit my own things.
I just use iMovie. Like I grew up fucking editing shit together on VHS tapes, So
Right.
it's like why make it any more difficult on you than the thing that I want to be able to do is, and I just can't wrap my head around it. Maybe I need to take like a community college course or something, but like I'm just not really good with like B-roll, like trying to film the thing that I'm filming, but then while you're also out in the wild collecting like those little cutaway clips that,
Oh,
like, yeah.
man, I fucking loved going to film B-roll. Like um that's like a nice off day activity. Just go find scenic things, funny things to point
Uh,
the camera at.
okay. Yeah.
It's um
So
I
you
think
make
what you're
you
saying
don't
is you get so focused on what you're actually filming, but it's like you gotta leave yourself time to go find the B-roll.
yeah, that was a
Obviously,
problem.
B-roll is anything that you use as B-roll, so it could just be footage of people's heads from between when whoever you're filming talking is talking. Um, Although I guess that would be a cutaway if we're going to get into, we're going to be jargon
I don't know
mongers.
anything about it. I wasn't really even, I mean,
Oh,
not to say that I wasn't looking for, I don't mean that in like an aggressive way, but I wasn't like necessarily looking for advice. It's just I've tried a bunch of different approaches to like, I mean, that if there is any advice, it's to make more time for it. Because one of the last shoots I went on, I was like, oh, I'm going to Vegas to shoot this thing, but like maybe I'll get some other stuff along the way. But then my itinerary didn't really allow me any time to do that,
oh yeah.
you know. Um,
You got to give yourself downtime
Certainly not enough
and
to
then use
get
it
through
for
all.
non-downtime purposes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, it's more expensive than it's ever been to be a travel and story finder. You know what I mean? Like, and I kind of we here at the Royal we here at Chainsaw have kind of a particular sliver of American life that we like to cover. You can't just go find that, I mean, you can, but it's expensive to be outside nowadays, you know?
That's true. There's also a lot of competition, you know.
But see, I don't even look at it like, in fact, I don't, it's one of the things I don't like about that Joe Rogan guy is he fills people's heads with this, life is a competition malarkey. Like I've never one time in my life compared what I was doing to another person. Like I don't know what part of my childhood gave me that. Maybe it was the moving around a lot or whatever, but it's like you do what you do the way that you do it, and I do what I do the way I do it, and I don't see the comparison here.
Right.
Like,
You're a proper Jungian introvert.
what's
Like
that mean?
you're self-actualized, you know, as
Yeah.
opposed to kind of constructed from
Yeah.
those around you.
You
That's
know what's funny
your
is
independent
the
ego.
the more that
Yeah.
I watch those teen torture documentaries and stuff about the like Synanon style program
Oh,
that
like the bad boot camp. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Teen, troubled teen
Yeah.
industry. Yeah.
The more I watch those, the more I'm like, you really did kind of like, as traumatic as it was, at this point, I've resolved a lot of that trauma. You know what I mean? And like, I really did kind of hold, they do teach you a lot of good stuff. They use therapy as a form of torture. It's an attack
Right.
therapy
Right. Right.
style.
Right.
I don't know. You have to know about Synanon.
Yeah, of
Like,
course. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's like that mixed with the housing situation is like a Chinese internment camp, you know?
Right.
So it's meant to, and really what the thing was, and I'm going to eventually do a book about it. But people need to look at those programs more as like a human trafficking scam, because they're actually set up to make it look like the kid's not improving.
Right. Of
Whole
course.
structure that, so they keep them down there for more money.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Just like consultants in business. Yeah.
yeah,
You don't keep getting paid if you solve the problem. Yeah.
and yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is that people just turn a blind eye to that whole story. Because I know a lot of kids who've suffered really. I mean, I before I went on the Matt Cox show to go tell that story, I was reaching out to there's a bunch of like message boards and forums and shit from WASP survivors, and I called every number that I could find, and like some people, there's one guy, man, he's like sounds like he's been clinically depressed the whole time, like
I mean, yeah.
so. I don't know. I feel like I kind of get harped on by some of my friends, especially like in these new media times. Like I'm always telling my story with new people. Like you're harping on it, and I'm like, no, it's
Harp
just
on.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. I mean, I know you don't mind at all, but you kind of develop that oh, I'm being annoying thing. But really, it's more about the kids who suffered that I would even want that story to be. I want people to pay more attention to it and care more about it for them than I do for what I went through. Because to me, I was already like a little fucker. And I was already like kind of a little writer, and like I've read all the stories about fucking you live a writer in my child's eye when you read biographies on like Jack London and Mark Twain, all the old guys, like they live extraordinary lives. They go through some shit that you, as an imaginative kid, have to imagine is
Right.
probably pretty fucked up at the time. So I did suffer, but I still kind of always have this like sense of myself, like this isn't gonna last forever. It's like this is just gonna be one of those fucking cool stories that I tell leaned over the bar, like um
I mean, that's a good way to distance yourself from what's happening to you sort of in the moment, it sounds like.
oh, I started doing you'll get this because you know everything, dude. This is great. Dude, I hang out with so many dumb people and I'm like the smartest dumb person. And but maladaptive daydreaming.
Hmm.
You heard of that?
No, what's that?
You haven't gotten to that fucking This American Life yet. Because that's where I heard about it. Because what I would do is just basically essentially just daydream all day. Like if we're standing in line waiting to go to a classroom or go back to the bunks or whatever, like I would create like a storyline in my head with characters and fucking like, but I would literally, it was almost like, I don't know what transcendental meditation is, but if I had to imagine it, it was almost as if I was like projecting myself out of that place. Like,
Into it. Yeah. Okay. Well, what's maladaptive about it? Why is it mal?
because some people will, when they do it in the real world, some people will, they'll completely shirk off any kind of like social or responsibility to
I see.
sit
Yeah.
around and daydream, like live in a different world. It's like I think that
Uh,
that's what a lot of chicks who these girls who set like multiple alarms and they lay around in bed all day and you're like, you can't be in REM sleep for that long. They've got to be in this like quasi hazy dream state laying there. I think they're addicted to like
to dreaming,
yeah, but what's the kind of dreaming where you can control it?
lucid,
Lucid.
lucid dreaming.
I think
Yeah.
that's the state in which and I just know this about women, but I mean, I know a lot of people who are just like bed people. You know,
Right, right.
they gotta have their
Yeah,
like 12 to 14 hours in bed every day. Like,
right.
yeah, theories, man. I got all kinds of theories, dude.
I buy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I wrote this would be a good segment to take the edge off too. Maybe I could cut this back to the beginning, but I kind of went through the emotions, right? Like I only watched like a few baby balls or balls deep because there's so many episodes and they're so long. Like I couldn't do that. I couldn't fit all that into my
Understood. Yeah.
Thomas Morton marathon. But I guess some maybe like I just have like scariest. Or I have most scariest because I'm stupid. Most scariest the shoots that made you afraid, angry, confused, disgusted, or
Oh,
uncontrollable.
when was I the most scared
Yeah,
at
when you're
on a
yeah
shoot?
that kind of shit.
Um, I went with Simon Ostrowski, who's a great journalist, works for I think PBS NewsHour now, to Syria to film with the Kurdish YPG. Where the Kurdish militia was, what was it, 2013. And so they're in the northeastern corner of Syria on the map. That's the Kurdish region. And that they'd basically held off, kind of kept the fighting outside the Kurdish neck of the woods. And so we went there for a week and just dicked around, with different groups of fighters. Saw they had a DMV they had set up in a town called Kamishlo where they were making license plates. Saw some electrical plants and oil refineries. Just got the tour, the the Apois tour of Kurdish Rojava. And we got shot at, and it was we went to a battlefield. And we were like, well, we've got a. It's like can't go to a can't go to Syria without covering a little war. Can't be here without being war correspondents. That was my only experience in like as doing something akin to proper war reporting. It was fucking horrifying, and it was funny at the moment of terror to think that I did not assume I would be completely consumed with terror and want to get the fuck out of there. Right? It
Yeah.
taught me real quick. I'm not a fucking war reporter.
Mm.
Um, Nor do I ever want to
One
be.
bullet,
Yeah.
one bullet convinced you. What?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Um, that you know what that reminds me of is did you see Cartel Land?
I don't think I watched Cartel Land.
It's like a little
There's so many cartel.
yeah.
I'm. Which one is it?
Well,
There's so many narco
it came out
series movies.
probably over a decade, probably 20, at least 2014, 15. And
And there's a TV
shot
show.
was shot on handheld at DSLRs. And what I remember, I just recall a scene where this guy's like getting taken to some cartel thing with some cartel guys, and it's probably the only footage I've ever seen of like I mean, that's kind of like a war correspondent. It's a drug war, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, but
Conflict
the car
reporting.
got
Yeah.
shot up bad to where like it's the most compelling. Like,
And they were rolling. Like it
oh
was in
yeah,
there. They're in the
oh yeah,
car.
yeah,
Okay, I don't think I've seen this. It was a
yeah.
doc. It was a doc
I
series.
think a lot of it's in Spanish too, so you got to read most of it. Um, but yeah, I think that was actually for that one. Oh my God. And there's some gruesome stories that you have to read from survivors because it's like that whole warlord style where they'll come through and like murder everyone and leave one person to tell the tale. And it's just this like blubbering woman who's broken and will, never be right again. And like they
Right.
even say that to her. Like, that was kind of probably I was really into the cartel war for a while. It was kind of probably the only disaster porn that I would watch at a certain time because that was kind of where I fell off with Vice News was it was like the world's ending every fucking day, dude. Like
Right. Right.
it's not
Right. Right.
necessarily it's not what I came to Vice to see, but it's like, Jesus, can we do a fucking puff piece? Even the fucking every news station has a squirrel that can jet ski or whatever. Like anyway, I just can't
Right.
check
Right.
myself
A
to
little
that.
palate cleanser. Yeah.
But
Well,
theater,
and there was a time when the company didn't do that like so consistently, and we're good at making not positive stories necessarily, but like doing cultural reporting that wasn't necessarily a puff piece. you know. And there's a great producer advice during the back when it was called the video stuff was called
Yeah.
VBS to
PBS.
kind of like silo it away from the magazine so that advertisers wouldn't be freaked out.
Uh,
Um, named
uh,
Santiago Ferdinand Stelli, who did was like in the early video days, the two sort of creative directors of the whole network were Jesse Pearson, who was also the editor of the magazine, and Santiago Ferdinand Stelli, who Jesse did most of like I guess you call it, I don't know, the domestic video stuff. Like he came up with Practice Space, Soft Focus, like
okay.
the whole slate of shows that were shot in the country. And then Santiago, who'd come from Colors magazine, which I don't know if you ever read that. They were great. It was United Colors of Benetton, kind of like I was about to call it a vanity project, but whatever. They made this magazine that Vice took a lot from in kind of like its mid 2000s streak. And anyway, he was just this one of the most well traveled people I'd ever met, and almost all of the travel stuff between like 2007 and I think 2012. If it wasn't made by him, it was kind of made under his direction or by people he hired or by people he had mentored. Um,
Yeah.
and these were all good. And it was like, and it wasn't just war reporting, because there's this thing with war reporting too, where it's like I go back, like when YouTube started to have a proper library of some interesting stuff. I'd go back and watch old episodes of Firing Line and shit, but also old like newscasts. And the stuff that's great was like Charles Kuralt doing a whole 50-minute segment about shopping malls in the 1982 or whenever. It was like you watch the war footage from like Nam or Sri Lanka or anything like that, and it's almost like sports coverage at a point. It's like you're literally seeing the same thing every time, and it's like, hey, these guys in green shirts are shooting at those guys in green shirts, and each of them has an acronym that's hard to keep straight from the other. And if you have the time to properly get into what each of their what they're fighting about, what their political beliefs are, it is also hard to keep straight one from the other. um
Thanks.
and it's and so there's like it'd be stupid to say that it's like with wars going on that you know covering those wars shouldn't be a priority, but they just don't have there's like the cultural stuff, which gets written off as puff pieces, is the lighter side of the news and stuff like that. I think has a a lasting power as a document of the times and society and the people in it versus here's these guys shooting an anti-aircraft gun at a mountain,
Yeah, I mean
which
that's
is
clearly propaganda when that's covered in mainstream media, showing like military show of force. It's like this is what we do. Don't you think? Like,
oh, I just mean any like
I
like
think I
not
get what you're
any
saying.
conflict reporting, but the thing that
Like today, I saw a clip of a kid skateboarding the rubble in Gaza, like a
right,
bombed out building, like literally just rocks on the fucking ground. Like,
right,
uh, where's that war reporting to? You know what I mean? Like, or where's that disaster reporting? And then also too, you just get kind of like the guilt. I was really obsessed with the fucking cartel wars from I probably fuck. Did you ever read a book called To Die in Mexico? City Lights put it out.
no,
Um, yeah, it was just dispatches. It was the first thing I'd ever read. I'd never seen any of those fucking like Alarma magazines with all the murder porn or death porn in it.
right,
Um, but I was just floored by how like basically there was a war going on very close to America that seems very dangerous coming from very objective people. And
right,
then it wasn't being I had to go to like a specialty bookstore onto the like their published rack to find out something about it. That's where like my obsession with it began.
right,
And also that maladaptive daydreaming, I wrote a kind of a science fiction book during that time. Uh with the maladaptive daydreaming. Like I mean that's just what I call it, but like when I would being locked up in jail, I would be thinking this story, working the characters out. And one of the things is a war that goes on about over minerals, like most wars. You know, most wars they say they're political, but can often more likely be about resources, right? And
Yeah, I'd say that's political, but yeah, I
I
get you.
always knew in my researching for
Period.
that novel, that's when I started to learn about like cobalt rich Africa, but then also the largest lithium deposits in the world are in fucking Mexico, and we're a lithium dependent society, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think it's a coincidence that they're fucking allowing Mexico to be destabilized over fucking everything, every form of trade? Like, there's cartels that fight over avocados down there.
Right. I do think it's a coincidence. It's an unfortunate one, you know.
Really?
It's like I think about the cartel wars, and you know, it's a pat point. It's been, you know, kind of hammered into a cliche, but you know, this is all driven by American drug behavior, right? And American drug law, like more than anything. That's the worst part
But
about,
again,
you
back
know,
to the avocados. Are we supposed to stop eating avocados? Because
war next door. Are we going to? Is I think the more pressing question. It's like, of course not, you know.
curious to know. The United States has this like ongoing reputation since what, the early 60s of like, well, not really, since fucking we went over to overthrow a dictator in Europe in the 40s, right? We have this like
Greece.
reputation of like of
Yeah.
policing and like, if we see these things happening, human rights violations, atrocities, genocide, we intervene in them, but we're not doing it in lithium that has a mineral that we need for everything that's like that we use on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. But the human rights violations, that's just the set dressing for foreign policy, which is again, yeah, is generally about resources and markets.
yeah.
Like that's a given. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, to a lighter subject, since I know you're a compendium of like all things, you're genius. But I know completely forgot in doing my research that you're a super music nerd and you have really good taste. I was
I like
rewatching,
I like I like the music. Yeah. I don't, you know,
but I also like because you make me feel dumb. I kind of want to see if I could stump you. I want to know if you heard this one because it's one of my favorite
he'll stump me. Yeah.
one of my favorite records that I found on accident on a road trip somewhere in the Midwest. $6. You ever heard of these guys?
Well, I can't. I'm seeing half of it. Builders? Nope. Don't
No.
know. Are they is the band Builders or Beaten Hearts?
No, it's the Builders and it's Beaten Hearts is the album.
Can you hold it back up?
Yeah. Really good. It's New Zealand. I thought it was from Scotland. This chick in San Francisco showed it to me.
Oh, it's not a Flying Nun record, is it? What?
It is related to those guys. I think it's like a
That's
band that
cool. I love that shit. Yeah, I don't know Builders though.
one of the best records I've ever heard.
I'll have to look it up.
It almost parts of it sound like because you know how Jonathan Richman like lived on the Velvet Underground's couch for a while,
Yeah,
and him and Lou Reed were like frenemies. Like
I think
uh,
so. Yeah, it rings a
this
bell.
record sonically sounds like if they had become friends and made an album together.
That's what Builders sounds like. It sounds like Lou
To me,
Jonathan Rich.
parts of the first
Oh,
side
okay.
for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
parts of the first side for sure.
I'll check it out. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's great. There's a Midwest record label called Grapefruit that scared it up, or I don't know, has some connection to these New Zealand guys because
Oh,
they put out a bunch of their records. Um, yeah.
that's cool.
Um, so do we want to talk? Okay, more fun stories from Vite. Oh wait. No, we're going through the list of emotions on
Oh,
Balls Deep. So we did the scariest, which was war reporting. But when you
I
were
mean
on
that one's yeah.
when you were on a shoot, did maybe somebody like either a crew member or the subject himself or somebody kind of in the background or just the subject, their uh their uh their ideology, like uh put you in like a state of furious rage? Has that ever happened? Like, have you ever been on a shoot where you're like, I want to fucking rip this guy's fucking face off, but I have to remain tactful and
I'm um I'm struggling to think of something. I mean, 99% of the time when I was out filming with people, I'd like prior to the cameras rolling, I'd already, you know, was filming them for a reason. Having, you know, there's within the the docs and videos we made, there are serendipitous moments where we were just rolling camera and, things, um, we never set up anything, but then sometimes things would happen where you're like, shit, that was like, I'm glad we were rolling. It was kind of caught lightning right there. But I can't, it was like, I've I've dealt with some people I disagree with and would consider pretty odious, but that's that was the lay of the land in general. That was why I was talking to them.
Pretty
It
much.
doesn't nothing being angry while working doesn't it doesn't ring any bells. I think I'd mostly be angry about like technical things
Mm.
like dead batteries.
I don't know. These are just questions from Con, like little, really bad note questions too.
Oh, okay.
Like one just says partying in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
How open ended is that though? I mean, you lived there for fucking 20 years, like,
Yeah.
but you would have seen the when. So when did you? So you graduated college probably in what, 2008 or no, 2000?
No, 2005.
Yeah. So that's when you moved to Brooklyn. You couldn't live in the dorms anymore, or
I lived in the dorms for just like a year and a half. I moved to Brooklyn in 2003, moved to Prospect Heights. It's
2000?
cheaper out there.
Oh yeah, that was the first time I was ever in New York. I was just a kid. 17.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. You got any cool stories from when Brooklyn was dangerous?
Um, I mean, by 2002 or three, it's the danger was waning, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
Going further out west.
Williamsburg, it was going further out east. Bushwick kept being, kind of being pushed a few blocks a year.
Yeah.
Because I remember, you know, if people know the L train, it was like anything past Lorimer was referred to as Bushwick
Yeah.
back in 2002 or 2003. And then which wasn't even necessarily sort of like used to demarcate like danger or anything like that. That was like there was the old Italian Bushwick, and Bushwick Avenue is right there.
Yeah.
This is before realtors coined the term East Williamsburg, which, like all realtor coinages, have just been accepted as the name for a discrete neighborhood. Um,
Yeah. When I was living there, we
I
were
used to get apples chucked at my head when I'd ride through like Bed-Stuy on my way to work from like Prospect Heights to Williamsburg, but that was just kids. It was just
yeah.
kids with apples in their school lunch.
I never experienced
And they
any.
never got me. Like they'd whiz by.
That's fucking hilarious.
No, it was like a playground. It was like that was the thing. The danger there was this gap between when the neighborhood was a little rougher and when the neighborhood was unaffordable and there was a fucking Apple store in it, right? And it was like within those
Just
years.
specifically, since I've lived there, like what part of Brooklyn are you talking about? Like Williamsburg or like
Yeah,
what?
Williamsburg and Greenpoint, kind of just around that area up near the river. Um,
Yeah, I lived up there for a little bit. I kind of bopped all over. I've lived all over North Brooklyn, Ridgewood,
yeah.
Greenpoint. Love Greenpoint. I was really bummed. Uh, I had left New York back to the West Coast. I came back again, and there was a fucking jungle gym at McCarran Park. And I was like, I watched the Black Lips play when I was so high on acid. I never thought I wouldn't be high on acid again, right
Oh,
there. And it was, but to me, it was just like kind of a
it's a park. Yeah.
right. But it was also kind of a it was right at the beginning, I feel like, of the stroller era of Brooklyn. Like everybody who stayed and had kids and decided that was a good place to raise them. And it was just weird
Smart
leaving
enough
and
to buy
coming
an
back and
apartment.
being like, well, this is what Greenpoint is now.
Right,
Like,
right, right. Yeah. Well, and Greenpoint is the last holdout, because because of the Polish, because the Polish who all owned their buildings would only use Polish realtors and
yeah.
were, you know,
Speaking of fucking cocaine, man, them Polish guys in Greenpoint got the best fucking cocaine, at least that I could find. Like, yeah, but yeah, something you were talking about. My friend Akeem, he's working. Me and him did a radio show there. I think I told you about it before. Maybe I don't know. I was kind of drunk and rambling, but we worked at a liquor store together, and we recorded a podcast in the back room. We were allowed to drink. It was an old Polish lady who ran the place, and he's working with us now. But he told me back in the day they used to call it light side and dark side of Bushwick.
Hmm.
Where like
Uh,
if you were closer to the main streets, like Broadway or Myrtle or whatever, like that's safer. But then you go and it was when you were talking about buying crack for
right.
the drugs issue. It's like well known that like when you go off of the fucking get away from the lights, they call it the dark side of Bushwick. It's not an ethnic thing. Like it's just
Got it.
there's
Yeah.
no fucking lights from the where the
Street
drug
lights are out.
go away
Right,
from
right,
the
right.
train essentially, like you were saying, go between the trains.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
And every bodega for a time was just a fucking crack spot. Like, um, fuck. Oh, dude, were you saying it to me yesterday, or did you say this maybe in another podcast? The Joan Didion quote about New York is only fun if you're young or rich. Does that ring a bell? Did you freeze on me? This has been a bad interview. I'm too nervous. I think we lost him. Wait a couple minutes. Oh,
Oh,
there
yeah.
he is.
Okay.
I thought that was just a Irish goodbye. Um,
Ha.
now I'm just kind of nervous, man. I feel like I'm doing a
Yeah,
bad job at this. Hopefully, I'll be able to edit something together,
you're doing fine.
or
Don't
you're
feel
going to be on the
embarrassed.
first episode of
Yeah.
the Chainsaw Radio Show. You know, um, trying to
Hey,
figure out a way. I don't know what you know about web stuff, since I'm kind of you're letting me kind of pick your brain.
what web stuff? Like
But like
coding?
if I make a, I'm having problems. I want to do like an old school radio show where I play some of my 45s because I don't DJ anymore. Like,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but you can't really do that on YouTube.
Right,
Uh,
because of you'd need to pay licensing
yeah.
fees for
Well,
royalties. Yeah.
what they do is they monetize that portion of the video for the artist or the whatever
Right.
company owns the publishing, but they'll also restrict it sometimes. So it's just not a good host for a thing like that.
Right.
But I'm just curious if I can like make the whole show in like one MP4 and then dump it straight into like a my word. It's just a WordPress website. Like I should, in
Oh,
theory,
maybe.
be able
Yeah.
to just dump it in there and then they can play it off the site, right?
I mean, I've been fooling around with Substack's got kind of an embeddable player that they've rolled out. You might be able to do that. Might be able to keep it private if you do it just for subscribe
Or unlisted.
unlisted. Right.
You
Yeah.
can embed it and they should be able to see it if it's unlisted. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's like I had no so just to give you an idea, I mean I don't even know what this is gonna be now, but like so I got a book deal in 2015, right?
Hmm.
Because for about a year before that, I had gone back to San Francisco to link back up with a ex-girlfriend from New York. And she within like 3 months, she was like throwing my shit out on the street. It was over. And I had like a network of friends out there. I'd lived there forever. And I uh I just remember my youth where it's like if you have 7 friends that will give you a couch to crash on one day a week, then
Then you're okay. Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
need a place. So I spent a year like not intentionally being homeless, but not trying not to be, and like I was probably early in on the hobosexual movement, like where you play dating apps to
Uh, I
go on
see.
dates and then possibly find somewhere to stay for the night. Like, and sometimes it would be like a sexual thing, and sometimes it would be you just tell the chick, like, hey, I'm just crashing around, crashing with friends, like we don't have to do anything, but can I stay with you? And it's San Francisco, so they're all about that like peace and love shit out there, like
Yeah. Yeah.
uh yeah, stay on the couch, man. So I just kind of did that for a year and I wrote this book called Drugs and Barbecue where I I kind of made it like almost like a dirtbag, like street Anthony Bourdain almost, where I wrote like reviews of restaurants, foods, different recipes, women, different women that I was hooking up with, is almost if they were like menu items, and drugs.
Right.
And yeah, whatever. Anyway, so I made like 1,000 copies of that, issued or did the release party with a record, and kind of got the attention of some of my wealthier friends because I lived in like North Beach, so
Mhm.
it's a very hard mix of like very very poor and very very rich. Like I lived in an SRO that's like right down the street from Francis Ford Coppola's cafe. You know, you see
Right,
him,
right.
Jeremy Fish out there. But yeah, I got that. I got a like kind of a weird book deal that was kind of like a research project on dating apps.
Hmm.
So I was supposed to spend 5 years doing that. You know, poor me. And
So,
about halfway into it, I was back in Brooklyn, and my buddy Curtis Valentine had an idea for a show forever called Urban Survival.
mm.
He was a very he knew all the tricks of the trade from old Brooklyn, where you could go to like Alligator Lounge and get a free pizza, and like how to live on like next to nothing
Right, right, right.
every day in New York. And so whenever I happened to go back out to New York, he paid for me to come out. He's like, hey, I got a buddy who works at Vice. We're gonna shoot a pilot and try to pitch it, blah 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 blah. I want you to be like my sidekick, like Millhouse, you know. And then he ended up getting murdered that summer.
Shit.
Yeah. So the show, it's really tragic because he went in, they shot the pilot. I don't know if you know Taji. I
I know
mean,
Tashi. Yeah.
yeah. They shot the pilot. He went in for a screen test. I guess it got picked up, but then like he died within the check didn't even make it to his house. Like in that period of
Right.
days when they mailed the check out, that's when he was killed. Um,
Did you say his name? I'm sorry.
Curtis
I mean,
Valentine.
Curtis
It was all
Valentine.
over the local little clickbait Brooklyn magazines at the time. It was the summer of 2017. This is good. I
Ah,
can use this for the memorial we're gonna do. But yeah, he was at like a one of those kind of like graffiti. I don't know if you know about these, but there's some in different cities. I won't just say in New York, but there's kind of been this thing over the last 10, 20 years of graffiti writers kind of getting a storefront space that's supposed to be like a graffiti kind of art gallery, but really
mhm.
it's a place for them to sell drugs so they don't have to work and they can write graffiti out all night. And I don't know that that's what this place was. I would never say that, but
Right.
it was one of those kind of, street art galleries. And he got into a fight out front and hit his head on the concrete and fucking died. Well,
Ah,
choked on his vomit. But anyway, so this same summer, I got this book deal. I'm doing research on dating apps, and the people who are kind of funding the whole thing are like, "Hey, this whole Me Too movement thing is like kind of making us a little nervous, you know." And I was like, "I'm sending you guys pages, like I'm not doing anything inappropriate. Like I'm fictional. I'm kind of novelizing everything, changing names, scenarios, whatever, combining different dates, like." Uh, and they're like, yeah, we know you're not doing anything wrong if what you say is true, but we can't really be affiliated with a sexually promiscuous man at this time. So like they kind of take the deal away from me, but I get into this weird contract red tape, green tape,
mhm.
where I have to finish it. I have to turn in the
Right.
book that was originally intended at the
Right, right, right.
time. And then but what the one like saving grace was, uh, my mom had helped me negotiate a kill fee that if they weren't going
Mm.
to do something with it and I wasn't able to access like a back end
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
they didn't advance me the money in a sense that I would owe it back, but that I wouldn't get any money from the book until it hit what they put into it plus whatever profit they fucking projected, right?
Right.
So yeah. So I think I'm kind of trying to bring you up to speed as to how I ended up doing Chainsaw.
Ah,
Because so I spent the rest of the 5 years doing that. I turned the book in. I actually get the fucking wire transfer the day that fucking Trump shut down the world for the pan.
ah,
Yeah, yeah,
March 2020. Yeah.
yeah. And then so I got into real estate, trying to make the money last, like buying rental properties and stuff, fixing up old houses, just got an Australian Shepherd and a set of bitchin' tools. and did that. And then it was really the Matt Cox thing. I did his show, and it part of the funding for the book that I did 5 years prior, or that it started 5 years prior, came from an artist foundation in the Bay Area, and they were kind of closing it out, dissolving it, and getting like testimonials as to how they're what the where the grant money has gone. You know,
Hmm.
and,
Yeah.
yeah, I went there and like presented, and like my story was like so much more dramatic and drastic. The changes that I went through with that money, like there was like people who like went to UCSB and like bought a jewelry engraver with the money. You know what I mean? Like, and
Right,
I'm
right.
like I was homeless, living on a boat in Fisherman's Wharf, and now I own property in the Midwest. So then that got me like a little bit more funding, and one of the people, I got another grant as a result of it. And then one of the guys involved in that brought me down to Austin to ghostwrite a book for his company, like a little corporate literature, which,
Okay.
yeah. Um, it's like it's a venture capitalist group. So I wrote their like, what do you call it? Like their investment package.
Prospectus.
Yeah. Like when you invest, you become an investor or you're a potential investor, they have like literature that they,
Got it. Okay.
yeah. So, and then that's when I told you the whole King Khan thing yesterday. He hits me up. We
Right.
become friends. He comes here to film all that shit. Did you get a chance to watch that film?
Not yet. No. Sorry, buddy.
No, it's fine. No, no, I'm curious. I want to send you like my books and shit. I would love to be on the shelf in Thomas Morton's collection, dude. Like,
Oh.
um, so then recently, I don't know if you've ever done any like options for like stories or
Film
anything.
options? Nope.
No,
Yeah.
no. So I've done a couple of those, and these same venture capitalist guys are trying out something with me where they're trying to like in the way that like a pill mill will use the DEA ID of a doctor to just move pills out of a pharmacy. Like what they're trying to do is like they've licensed a ton of my writing, like my fiction,
Aha.
and they've
Okay.
paid me like an upfront amount to license it, right? Where they're because I've been getting a little bit of option money here and there, but I don't have any connections. It's like word of mouth things I get reached out to buy. You know what I mean? So they're kind of they're venture capitalist dudes who have like been trying to get into entertainment or media, but don't really know the landscape. So they've kind of been dipping toes in it, but they're businessmen. So they're kind of trying to like acquire things
Right.
to move around with. You know what I'm saying? Like to move their way in on the money
I
side.
get it.
So they paid me like a licensing fee so that they can go out and they take the money from options, but they're doing more to like try to shop them around kind of thing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So for a year, I can't publish anything. And I have a couple of books on my fucking bulletin board right now that I could just type up. But that's why when he was here, kept fucking encouraging me. He's like, you don't write books, dude. You write like a magazine writer. Like, you got to do a
Hmm.
magazine. Like, and he just started acting like, oh, this is gonna happen. We'd be driving around late night from Dallas to here or something, and he's like, dude, when we start Chainsaw, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, like, because I know what it's like when your Wikipedia says that you were a contributing editor. Does that mean you were in charge of people? Like,
Not really. I mean, we were pretty loose with whatever title made sense, or at least like as it applied to me. I was a contributing editor to Vice or to.
that's what it says on Wikipedia.
I mean, usually that just means somebody who writes for them,
Wow,
right?
I didn't know that.
That's a
I thought it
glorified way
meant
to say a contributing editor is, yeah,
I thought it was like
some
a something.
otherwise has little to do with it. I mean, I like I started as a magazine intern, right? And then became like an editorial assistant and then at some point like an assistant editor or something like that. But I worked on the magazine um beneath an editor for up until I think 2011 or 2012 when Jesse Pearson, the editor up till that point, left the company. Um and then after that, like I would that was, you know, in that period is when like the video stuff started and ramped up. And by 2012 or so, I was working almost entirely on video stuff. But I would, it's still, or man, was I still doing sometimes I would help with the layouts, the incidental writing and things like that. I'd still write record reviews. For as long as the do's and don'ts happened, I wrote a bunch of those. Post Gavin.
Yeah.
the bad years. And so
Also, I
that's
was
yeah, that's
probably
contributing editor is a polite way to say this person's actually not, necessarily um anywhere important on the ladder like a managing editor or a or the editor in chief, but they do contribute. I mean,
yeah. I was just saying,
as anybody in the masthead should. It's sort of like that's it's like that title is a form of kind of, it's like compensation maybe. It's like a glorified way of saying this person still works here.
oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know how any of that works. I've never really had a real job. Like
Oh, understood. Yeah, well,
I've never,
neither
and
do
I've
a lot of the
definitely
people.
never in any kind of industry like that.
I was going to say neither, the first 10 years I was at Vice were really defined by like, aggressive dilettantism. Um, it was People knew what they were doing, and some people came from like the proper magazine world, but it was like I still don't have a great understanding of how proper magazines are structured and run.
Ah, okay. I'm just
I know
making.
what we did. I know we did what worked. We took from, and what we did that didn't work. There was that too.
Well, I guess
But titles specifically, yeah, like
we got
that.
to get into the ineradicable fungus. Was there a new editor that came in that ushered in the plague and device that?
Um, no, it was more. There were, Vice is a privately traded company. Like it's a little opaque, to put it lightly. Um, what the what the business deals for any given period were. And so, like, and this was true even, I mean, on the editorial side of things, you'd hear rumors that weren't necessarily all negative rumors, but of who was, who owned what stakes in the company, what deals were afoot, and up until like 2017 or so. And so this is all third hand, hearsay from me. But the idea was that prior to around 2016 or 2017, maybe or earlier than that, um, as the valuation of the company kept jumping and jumping and jumping in the business press to absurd dimensions, that the suitors for Vice, the potential buyers and investors, were major media companies. It was Viacom, then what's Murdoch's proper
Fox?
company called? Is it
I
Fox?
thought the Murdochs.
Uh,
I just remember seeing it like as
Disney, A&E, these kind of places,
yeah.
and then suddenly they got replaced with bizarre acronyms that sound like you know factions in the Angola War, like like PRTP, and you'd look them up and it'd be like, oh, this is a private equity group based out of the Bay Area or whatever. Um, and with them came a different environment and came a whole bunch of different people, and there was a lot of people from journalism school, and it's the intentions across the board were to continue making good things. And what are you going to argue about that? Like, it's like we were doing news and journalism at that point, so it's like, why wouldn't you want to um why wouldn't you want to have people who graduated from journalism school or who had experience in um like mainstream media, news media. um but once they got in, it was just they hollowed out what was distinctive about the company, and it just became it's like I talk about like the kind of like the IT kind of people we would deal with, although many of them were great, but we weren't the best job they could get, right? And there was this sense too that the J school kids who came in there, they weren't there because they necessarily were fans of the company. They
Right.
thought it'd be good on a resume. They were there, and I knew a number of them, some of whom were, really talented, who would stay there for 6 months and then bounce off to CBS or Bloomberg or whoever, right? And it's just that's not the way, like in its in its glory days, that wasn't the way the company ran. It was this, it was the kind of place where
Yeah, even from the outside, it had this kind of
you
like,
took a job because you liked it and because you were given leeway to make things that other people wouldn't let you make. And you were necessarily taking a pay cut. You were necessarily, putting something on your resume that people might not even have heard of if you were trying to get a job in the square world. Whatever, the square world got in, and it was like, the
yeah,
private school kids took over, and
everything's
that
fucking yuppified, man.
was all she wrote. We got gentrified.
Yeah, everything's
we
yup. Yep.
we who are accused of gentrifying Williamsburg, which was already in the process, and by the way, you can't, whatever.
Well,
Um,
there's certain waves
the
of
company itself felt like it got gentrified. Yeah.
there's certain gentrification is this like all encompassing bad word, and like there's certain waves of gentrification that are awesome. Like it gets to another point where it's like that's not gentrification anymore, really, in my mind. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
it's like Neckface, the graffiti artist, said, gentrification means more hoes, and there's
That's
nothing
fair.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like, but
I was gonna say, yeah, it was like laying, the entire kind of real estate racket on a bunch of young creative people who are looking for cheap housing and a place with good bars to hang out is like that's as fatuous as it gets.
yeah, well, I just remember there's a younger Vice staffer who who kind of went to work remote from Vice at some point, and I hadn't heard from them. I don't want to give any clues as to who it might be, but
Okay.
the first part of the conversation was about how fucking awesome it's been to not have to do shit for Vice right now, and I've been getting paid for 2 years. Just
Oh, I know a
letting
few
them
people
think,
who
yeah,
who wound up with that, with the um what would
the
you call it? The sinecure. Yeah.
what's it called?
Who are still getting paychecks despite having not been checked in. I think,
Not doing anything.
I
And I was
mean,
like, you bastard, like you got that job because you came from a family that could send you to fucking college. Now I'm not talking about you.
oh, sure, but I
I
am. Yeah.
wanted like when I was younger, I was a ward of the state throwaway fucking kid, but I still wrote. I learned to write in juvenile hall. And when
Yeah.
I found Vice, I was like, oh, this is I can't work for Rolling Stone. I have to go to fucking college. Like I'm not going to work for there's a lot of things that are not an option, but it felt like this was an option. And then slowly as I realized, I think I told you one time I was told in a pitch meeting that white dudes with tattoos are over. So by the time I was even
Calling
like,
things over was probably over by that point. But yeah. No, Vice became the man. That's what I felt like. That's what it felt like from the inside too. Yeah.
but I was just being so mad at this guy. I just remember like I was just giving him one word responses
Yeah.
to what they were saying. Because I'm like, dude, like this is the job I always wanted. The company shifted, and then it only let motherfuckers like you in, and now you're bragging to me
Oh, they got in the door
that
and they
you
hired
don't
themselves and their buddies, which is what happens kind of like in general. It's the way the world works.
have.
It was just, there was a degree to which it was tragic to watch. Not the least of which was because that was my fucking paycheck. Right. Yeah.
Was it a
And what I
slow?
liked doing. It was the best job I could ever have hoped for. So,
Yeah. Um. So I'm assuming that when you first started, because there was someone like Gavin walking around with his dick and balls out, like Winnie the Pooh, that the office culture shifted at some point. Was it more like boiling a frog, or was there like a day of reckoning when?
boiling a frog. Yeah, no. And it's important to point out that like Gavin deserves credit as the ringleader for this whole thing, but it was like that office was there was only like 25 or 30 people total, but they were all like incredibly smart and creative folks who were uh also buddies. So it was an interesting it was people like to slander the company by calling it a frat house, which I always thought was an insult to all the women who are there. It was more like a punk house.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was the antithesis of a frat house. Like,
Definitely like in the mid 2000s for sure. It was like I wouldn't have been caught dead at somewhere that felt like a frat house. That shit sucked. they tried to start that stuff at NYU, and it was like, I mean, that there's a degree to which that was actually kind of funny because it was so unsuitable. They had
What I
like
found though
they
is
had the floor of an apartment building, I think. But anyway, it's like, yeah, I don't
I've actually spent a lot of time on college campuses in my youth partying, just to party, like hanging out with girls and
right.
stuff.
Fair
And
enough.
hung out. It's I couldn't say that this is across the board, but I've hung out in some Greek houses. And I think because they know their reputation, like especially someone like me coming in, it wasn't common to be covered in tattoos. And you go into a fucking broed out, salt
Right.
life t-shirt, fucking backwards hat, frat house. They've never seen someone like you. It's happened to me a few times. I've never really had any aggression. Like it's more like, oh, this
Right.
fucking see, we're not all fucking just jocks, dude. Like
Right,
this.
right, right, right. They got something to prove. It's like goths after Columbine being like, whoa, 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 we're not actually scary, you know.
Yeah.
Um, right. They're trying to stay one step ahead of what they know the world sees them as, right?
Yeah,
Some justification for too, right? But
it's just so it's I think about that a lot right now just because Austin is this weird. I feel like I live in a fucking Twilight Zone version of it where it's still calling itself Keep Austin Weird and then it's yuppie. It feels like what it feels like is one of those 80s movies
right.
like where there's the jocks who fucking ski and shit like the John Cusack
Better
better
off to,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like I feel like we've turned a cycle where there's like these uber healthy racquetball playing fucking sweater over the shoulder uh yuppies again. Like
Right, right,
and
right.
they've
Yeah. It's
and they've
funny.
overtaken a city that used to be like just a little island of, it was like people used to call this the San Francisco of the South. Like
Right.
it
Right.
doesn't resemble, I mean, it does resemble San Francisco because the same fucking thing happened there. Like
Right. Yeah, yeah.
it's fucking ridiculous, man.
Well, it's funny, mustaches too, which when I was growing up, that was a great sign to avoid the person, right?
A
Anybody
mustache?
who's wearing a mustache.
Uh,
Yeah.
we
Was
trying to say,
recuperated in the late 90s and early 2000s by indie rock kids and dirtbags in cities and shit became, kind of a as the type of like, you know, jockish dickhead who used to grow mustaches, went clean shaven, went like gelled hair or whatever.
right.
Um, there was first it was funny, then it was kind of just like the lay of the land. Then you saw like the teenagers getting out of high school with it, and now we're back from where I can see to where it's like anybody with a mustache is probably it's like not someone you need to be drinking with.
No, yeah. I have I did not realize that too.
Same thing with prep,
I always wear these
they're preppy
too.
fashion.
I always wear these in the summer because it's so hot. Even in New York, it's fucking brutal up there. And now that's ubiquitous with this like tech bro. They all look like fucking Magnum PI or like a relief pitcher from the fucking 80s, like mullet,
Right,
mustache. So maybe that's why some of the more because I feel like the alternative people here, or that's what I would call them in the 90s, right?
right,
Uh they kind of treat me with animosity. Like it was just like this in the Mission back in the day during the fucking Google bubble or whatever, where
yeah,
there was like a snake eating its tail where it's like, whoa, dude. Like I know I'm not wearing the fucking uniform, but like I didn't get the memo that the enemy was wearing this color now, like I don't know, whatever. But again, to that same point, I think this is what made me think of it is like everybody tells me South Austin, that's the cool spot. You need to go hang out South Austin.
hmm,
But it's and William parts of New Brooklyn have been like this at times where now the cool spot is like if you think you should belong there, you're not going to. You know what I'm saying? But if you go to North Austin, people are nicer because they know they have the reputation of being like the lamer side of Austin. You get what I'm saying?
right, right,
Where
right, right.
there's more like a lunch table culture in South Austin of like, you can't sit with us, you're not fucking cool enough. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, just rambling. But yeah, gentrification. I feel like we're in the wrong wave of gentrification here. I feel like I've been kind of surfing the wave of gentrification all over the country. I mean, you call me a tumbleweed, but like I've seriously since I was 18 years old just tried to find a place that was like $600 a month or less anywhere, and I didn't care where I lived. Like it's actually having that mentality is what ended me up in Brooklyn at one point. Like I lived in a tenement at Myrtle Broadway for $600 a month. Like um,
Great price. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, right now I'm staying in like it was funny, the cockroach infestation you were talking about at Vice, your first like 10 minutes. I
Oh,
saw some
yeah.
interview. Yeah.
In the supply closet with all the old food wrappers in a box. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
I mean, it was localized to just that box. I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, I guess that is an infestation, but
That's how
yeah.
bad the cockroach problem here was when I first moved in. It's like $800 a month, one bedroom apartment. You can't find that anywhere else in the country. Not where there's worth anything doing
Oh,
or
I know. Yeah.
any
Um,
women you wouldn't be. Is that why you're in Chicago?
uh, oh, because of real estate?
Low rent, like
It,
compared to New
not
York.
really. No, I mean it is. We always say, half the price, 1/10 the fun out here. Yeah, it's certainly cheaper than New York, and you have a much bigger place for paying half the what you'd pay in New York. Um, but that wasn't what drove me here. Yeah,
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you told me. I won't bring that back up.
yeah,
Um,
that's okay. I don't care.
I've
Yeah.
done it. I've done it too. I've moved for a woman. Um,
Oh, no, 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 no. It was
wasn't for a woman.
friend of mine was supposed to die, and then
Oh,
she did, which is
oh.
it's a funny. I'm used to at this point having my plans kind of catastrophically fail, and that's the only time I benefited from it, or somebody else benefited from it. Yeah. So.
So if I want something to go horribly wrong or right in the other direction, then we get you in on it. Like we
Yeah, but I can't, but you can't get me in on it. You have to use me without my knowledge. Like it was like I realized I was at this bar, there was a little Kentucky Derby party every year. It's cute. And I realized for 20 years I've managed to pick the losing horse in the Kentucky Derby, almost like, maybe not 100% of the time, but over 90. And this hit home this year because it was the horse I picked broke its, I think it broke its leg. It was like it didn't even make it to the race. It scrubbed like 2 hours before the fucking race. And I was like, if somebody, it was like I can't be involved in it because that is not the way this luck works. But if someone were to take, someone
so
without my
essentially we
awareness,
go to Monmouth Park.
take my bet. um
Yeah, so if we go to Monmouth Park, you bet first, and then I make my bet. And just as
Right,
long
but
as it's
even
not
even
yours.
just us saying this right now, it was like you would have had to have done this without having told me,
That's not how
right?
it works. You're a mush. In Bronx Tale, that's what they would call you, a mush.
Yeah, that's a lousy thing to be called, I feel
No,
like.
I mean, I'm not calling you a mush. I'm not a fucking.
Was it wait, what's the other, isn't there a term of cooler? I don't know gambling. Gambling is the one thing it is the vice I don't have in me. And
Yeah.
I can't help but believe that's because I've never won a bet in my life.
Wow. Uh, yeah, I've had to work too hard to fucking make money. So I could never, gambling's not a thing. Like, I'd have way more fun sitting around with a 12 pack drawing or writing or something in my house than fucking.
A cooler is someone who gives somebody else bad luck. That's it. And so a mush is just a guy with inverse luck.
I think so. Yeah, because
Okay.
I just kind of, like I said, I pick it up like a parrot, like using it in context. The guy is rolling dice and I think he's starting to lose. And he believes that this one guy's a mush and they're all in a bathroom. He's like, get him out of the bathroom. Throw him out. Like,
Uh,
because he thinks,
okay, so that does sound like
yeah, he thinks he's
a
losing.
cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I accidentally ended up fucking working with some mafia guys in fucking Asbury Park.
I mean, a mafia is just the name, like the bad name we give a business community. Just the same way a cult is just a religion when you're mad at it, you know?
That's a good point. I mean, I think a lot of things are a cult that we don't give them credit for. Like the root word in cult in culture is cult, you know? Like I think skateboarding's a cult. I think there was a cult of Vice magazine at a time. I think there was the cult of American Apparel at a time, like uh
Right.
everything's a fucking cult,
Sure.
man. Apple is a fucking cult. There are people who fucking judge your whole character on whether or not you get a green or blue bubble. Like that's cult thinking, don't you think?
I don't know what the green or blue bubble is. What's that?
It's a joke, I think that a lot of people say, but if you have Android, it shows up on an iPhone as a green bubble.
Oh,
And
yeah.
but
Okay.
in iMessage, it shows up from another iPhone as a blue bubble.
Right, 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 right. I know that. I've got
This may be a
friends.
dated gripe that people have, but I don't like any of those things. I don't know if you were, or if it was like this where you grew up in Georgia, but like the group of friends that I grew up with, being trendy was like an insult. Like So as like at a young age, that shaped the way that I thought of like groupthink and going along with trends and movements. Probably why I don't like politics, because it's just fucking it's is it's as mind blowing the way people act about politics in this country as it was to me the first time I met people from the UK. I worked with this Scottish guy who hated me. He used to call me Max Cady, like from Cape Fear.
Ah,
Yeah,
oh, right. Yeah.
any chance he could to fucking yeah, any chance he could to insult me. But he's from this part of Scotland where they go for this team, and then there's a bunch of people in town who are going for this other team, and he's like a big fat, like morbidly obese guy, and he's like,
Celtics Rangers, that one.
yeah, Celtic
Okay.
versus what's the other one? There's a
Rangers.
red and a blue. Rangers
I
are blue, right? Yeah,
I don't know colors. Yeah,
Celtic versus Rangers. That's what it was for sure.
because it's also sectarian. It's Protestant Catholic. Yeah.
So he's like, he has an exchange with these dudes who are walking by with their little fucking scarves on, and
Hmm.
he's like, he's fat, so he's getting red in the face because he's angry. And I was like, "What's up, dog? Like, what? You mad about the fucking soccer thing? Like, I knew you guys took it seriously, but like, dude, like, you're gonna have to. I don't know CPR, man. Like, and he's like, no, you don't understand. They're insulting my religion. And I was like, I
Right.
don't think that that's what they said anything about. Like, but I didn't know. I was young when I found this out. I was
Right.
like,
Right. Right. Yeah.
so I had no idea that hooliganism was all this weird. That it's essentially every football game is a January 6th fucking insurrection. Like
Yeah.
I call it the Carhartt uprising of 2021.
Huh. You
Yeah.
ever seen Alan Clark's film, The Firm? I think it's
No,
90, 89 or 90.
no.
It's a great, it's, it's not a documentary. It's, um, shit, who is it? Gary
Isn't that whole
Oldman?
like it's kind of like the Pelican
It's,
like
no, oh, no, not The Firm, the Tom Clancy book, or the
uh,
John Grisham book.
okay.
No, 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 I'm sorry. It's a British film called The Firm, and it's about a hooligan firm. Uh,
Oh, yeah, I have seen
in the
that. Yeah,
80s.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I worked at a tattoo shop in Florida where I didn't know that the guy had been this is how naive I am to certain things, dude. Like I'm such a fucking street rat. Like, but I didn't know anything about neo-Nazis or skinhead isms, like all the different varietals of skinhead, you know.
yeah.
And this guy, I guess, had been a when I finally got to talk to him about it, he was a hammer skin, and I was like, "You're a fucking hammer skin?" He's like, "No, I was the hammer skin," and I was like, "All right." Like, but there were all these signs, like the way they dress now in retrospect. I know the whole like fucking skinhead get up, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they weren't skinheads anymore. But they would always watch those at the shop. Or that one where like Elijah Burl, not Elijah Burl, Elijah. What's the Frodo?
Elijah Wood. I know the one you're talking about. What's the name of the movie though? Yeah.
Something hooligans.
Or
And
is it hooligans or is like skinheads? I thought are you talking about the movie where he's like an FBI agent who infiltrates a white power group?
no, I've never seen that one. That's cool. But no, this is like he's a
There's an
German.
Elijah Wood soccer hooliganism movie.
Yeah, yeah, which I think is like basically just a offshoot of being a skinhead anyway. I mean, or the
They're
skinhead.
they're not too different. Yeah. I
Uh,
mean,
but yeah, I mean that's the way I look at everybody who gets overly concerned with hypotheticals and gets like way. I guess you would say radicalized about their political ideas. Like,
oh, Green Street. Shit. Yeah. Fuck. Okay. I
yeah, he
forgot
plays
about
a journalist who I guess embeds with the fucking hooligans, but becomes
I mean,
one or
is
something.
it based on Bill Buford, the Among the Thugs one, or is it based on who's the guy from good lord, why can't I remember his name?
I don't. I have no idea. I only know with British movies. I can't tell you the names, but I can tell you like what they were about. Like, there's the one about the gay mobster, a very British gangster. I don't know how I remember that.
The Cray twins.
Oh, what was that the one?
There was a recent movie called Legend that I believe was about the Cray
Very
twins.
British gangster about them too.
Yeah.
It's the I know which one you're talking about, where the twin brothers who one's schizophrenic and gay, and the other one's
Right.
the uh,
Right.
he's the real sociopath. Yeah, that was a great movie, the Tom Hardy one. I don't really remember what a British gangster was about. It was just at a time when I didn't know that fucking like again, I think I started hanging out at that tattoo shop right when I got out of juvenile hall. So I didn't know you could be a tough guy and gay, you know?
Right. No, okay.
And
Yeah.
oh, but this is
All
you know
the
what you
gays when I
call
was growing up were tough as shit. There was a higher barrier of entry to being openly gay back then, you know?
Yeah, I don't remember ever having any openly gay friends, but I think we had a couple that we understood was gay. Like,
Right.
and but there was more where I was at wasn't really like a fat gay bashing kind of place. It was really racist. There would be like which I didn't know. I thought it was like just a Florida thing because we have rednecks. Like I didn't know they had rednecks in California, but like how
Oh
they
yeah.
have like neo-Nazi surf gangs in Southern California, you've got like redneck. They're not gangs, but they're like rednecks who like drive Broncos and talk with thick Southern accents and are racist, but also surf. It's fucking weird, man. Like,
Right, right.
um, yeah, shit. Oh, you might know she was like a legend in our area. And when I say legend, anybody who like is visible in your hometown that like leaves and goes to the bigger city was this she was kind of a scene queen. She runs a fucking vintage place in San Francisco. Khan's really good friends with her. She was like the manager for the Black Lips and maybe King Khan, like a road manager or something. I don't know if you know. Does any of this ring a
Kristen?
bell?
Is it Kristen whose last name I forgot?
It could be. I'm literally drawing a blank. I remember exactly where her vintage place was, but
Hmm.
I don't know. You remind me of her. I know.
Oh.
I would stop it. She would always pay for tapes whenever my band put out a new tape.
Is she Atlantan?
I
Is
assume
she
maybe
from
you guys
Atlanta?
ran in the same circles because she worked with the Black Lips and they're your favorite
I
band,
mean,
right?
I met them in New York. Like I missed we're from nearby suburbs, but I never knew those guys before I
Mhm.
left Georgia. I left I was like I left in 2001 and I think I don't remember if they started then or 2000 or whatever, but I never, I caught up with them when everybody caught up with them after uh Let It Bloom in 2004 or 5. No, it would have been 5, 2005 or so. And then I met them in New York.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, I missed like, Atlanta's music scene fucking sucked before
did it?
that. Like it was there's like this thing where it was like Athens, Georgia had a good music scene at that moment. That was when all the like Elephant Six bands were happening. And Atlanta had a great like kind of late punk scene that turned into it was all based in this neighborhood called Little Five Points, and
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, I've been.
so I'm trying to think how best to describe it. Is it
'Cause I know there's like a lot of what they call 77 punk bands that are from Atlanta.
70 cent punk?
No, you were probably
I
already
was thinking
gone.
man, it's
You were probably already gone from Atlanta when any of the shit that I've heard about from there that was good. You know what I mean? Like maybe the Atlanta
in
scene.
the 2000s, then for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'd come home and visit, and I'd go see things, and I'd be like, wow, this is a lot more happening in the city than I was when I was a teenager. But there'd been a previous scene, bands like the Opal Fox Quartet and Go Devils and Cat Power as from an earlier sort of music like I keep wanting to say it's like a post-punk scene, but it's that means a really specific style of music. Whereas this was kind of like there was a punk scene in the 80s, and as these people aged, they took on, kind of weirder, more elaborate sort of underground music. And that had kind of run its course by the end of the 90s. And so there was a lot of jack shit going on in Atlanta, and you'd have to drive out to Athens um to go have fun and see good music. And then the second I got out of town, it's like Black Lips and Deer Hunter, Carbonas and stuff start. That place Lenny's.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was the one I couldn't think of the fucking
so
name.
I'd come home to a cool music scene and be like, where was this shit three
Yeah, I'd
years
love to go taking trips to Atlanta on that during that period of time, just because well, A, you have like a mystique about you when you're on the road. You know what I mean? Like women consent that you're not from there. Like I don't know.
ago?
I've
Yeah.
always had a theory about that, but not like I just remember in Tampa area we had a lot of all the chicks were like the emo girls who like went to really I never really liked that fucking screamo
Girls with
music.
the NATO logo on their on their arm. The little
Is that
the four pointed star.
yeah, the nautical star.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But I remember
Compass
going
Point.
to
Yeah,
Atlanta, you could find like rocker babes. You know what I mean?
that's
Like,
true.
yeah, like
You
chicks
can
who dress
dress better in Atlanta.
or
Yeah.
chicks who dress like New York chicks, basically. You know what I mean? Like, and you know what else Vice did too? You were talking about do's and don'ts, and it made me think, like, I don't remember what years I was probably more into do's and don'ts when they were on the website. Because
They're
I could
always
just
on the website. Yeah.
well when like whenever that happened. I just remember sitting at the tattoo shop all day, like when there was nothing to do, and just going through like backlogs of fucking do's and don'ts. Like,
Tons of them.
what
I know what you're talking about. Okay, when there was one a day. Yeah.
was it like that?
Yeah.
There was
Well,
every.
because it was, it was a column in the magazine
I
is
knew
how it
that.
started. And they would go up on the website. It was, that's the reason I started reading Vice on the website. I'd seen a copy of it before, but going to the do's and don'ts was the first page everybody went to. It was the most popular thing. That was Gavin McInnes's like baby. That was what he was, what he was good at. And after he left, they kept it going, and a few different people took over and wrote the do's and don'ts. But it was like, yeah, in like 2006, I
Yeah,
think,
I
because
recall.
prior to 2006, the magazine was the primary focus of the
Right.
company, and the website was basically a place where you could read the magazine, right? It would go up at the beginning of the month. You could read all the articles. Every so often there'd be like an extra something, but that was it. The magazine or the website wasn't updated that frequently. And then we started,
Wait a
started
second. Hold on. I gotta ask.
started a daily blog in 2006 or so with 3 or 4 posts a day. But
So when you
and
could back then when you could read the whole issue, were they off by a month? Like you got to get if it's the current issue, you got to go get that, and you can read last month's online, or was it?
no, I think it took about a week from distribution for them to put it up. I honestly don't remember. I mean, the distribution was kind of wonky because it was a bunch of guys in different cities who had a van, and they would just get stacks of the magazine and they would take it on a little route too, because it wasn't we were never newsstand, we were never part of um
In chain or
a
something?
newsstand or any sort of distribution chain. It was all done like that was done properly DIY. Just
I think that's
some
why there
dude,
would only be like four in each fucking in each
right.
store that had them. Yeah, like you had to fight over those shits. Like, uh, but yeah, I mean, well, that's what I'm trying to do with this is, and I wonder where I obviously got that from Vice, but I when I decided it, I couldn't figure out where I got that idea. But I do have like kind of this feeling that like that's what we need to be doing. Like a lot of the first issue is already for free on the website,
Mm-hmm.
and if you want to support us, I guess then you buy the magazine because I kind of have
Right.
this like little like what do you call that? Like a pet peeve. Like I've never really understood. I didn't grow up going to shows because you had to have money to do it, you know? And I just never understood the whole merch thing. Like I could never afford a t-shirt that said my favorite band's name on it or whatever. Like I didn't get it. And maybe it was like comes from some bitter poverty thing or whatever, but everybody will buy the t-shirt. A band will sell 1,000 t-shirts, but they'll
Right,
sell
right,
a
right.
hundred
Yeah.
fucking they'll sell 100 records. Like
Well, I
what's that?
mean, Vice was free, and it was
Well,
because the
I'm talking
entire
about
revenue stream was advertising, which was
every,
true of 90% of magazines at the time, despite having like cover prices and stuff. The cover prices were set just to like, kind of imply prestige or
really?
whatever.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like I mean,
Well, what I was getting at more is like I don't want to make t-shirts.
okay,
And like
don't then.
no,
Yeah.
no, I'm not saying you're not I know you're not telling me to.
Oh,
But what I'm saying is we have like a really weird profit margin with the fucking drop ship company that we're going through. Like the
okay.
print on demand thing, like
Yeah,
so we have to charge a lot of money to make a little bit of money essentially. Like, and I feel like if people are paying $20 to $25 to get their hands on one of these, and we're only making $5, you know, then like at least give them a good product they can live with for a little while. You know, they can read this magazine, depending on how fast you
right.
read. You
Right,
know,
right, right. That's the
you,
problem with print on demand. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I'm talking about, 26 years ago at this point. So it was a different environment. I mean, the
right? Yeah,
magazine was
yeah.
printed in bulk in Winnipeg because it was cheap. Um, and then shipped to cities where the aforementioned guy with van would go drop it off places. Um, so that model, like I don't know, like I have friends who publish magazines, but I haven't, and who are all doing it on a subscription basis. I worked briefly for as an editor for this thing, the Mountain Gazette. It was great. It was this old it started, I think, as the ski journal or the skiers journal, I forget, in Colorado, early 60s. And had its first print run, I think, lasted until 2000, and it was folks like Edward Albee and Hunter S. Thompson would write for them and stuff. It was, back when Colorado had some fun, weird parts, back when Aspen was a weird place.
Right, right.
And it was this cool kind of like hippie-ish outdoor, freak, kind of like
Yeah.
the freak ski scene kind of. And it ran into the 2000s. And then I know
Back when the
this
term
guy,
became
Mike
well,
Rogie, who brought it back, and he developed this model that, like, I have another friend, John Martin, who's the publisher of Cream magazine, which was, back in the 70s or whatever. Um, and all of them is to make like a uh instead of doing an ad-based magazine model, because since that ship sailed and print advertising is dead, they'd make like just like a really nice one or two a year, maybe a quarterly sort of thing, and like coffee table book style magazine, the way the Italians make their fashion magazines, something real thick and nice. And then the whole business model is subscriptions, and it was like past
so
you get the subscriber base, and it's like 25 or $50, or it's between 25 and 50 or something a year, and you get 3 or 4 issues or whatever.
you
That's how
know,
they're all living now. Yeah.
you know that if any of those companies are doing print on demand and doing subscriptions,
No, I don't think it's print on demand. I mean,
see that
I
would
think
work out.
the trick was the thing they needed kind of runway money for was getting subscriptions up to a certain point. Like,
Right. Yeah.
once you have 300, 400 people subscribing, then you've covered your costs, and hopefully it'll balloon from there, because once you've passed that number, word
Right.
of
And
mouth
that's
is
not,
getting
we're not
around,
really,
people are excited about it, that thing. But it was, yeah, no, it was 100% subscription based.
right.
um
I'm just doing this weird algebra. I'm not good. I didn't even really take algebra, like, but there's this weird algebraic equation going in my head right now for the economics of a print magazine right now, the one we're doing, where
right,
like I have to charge you an astronomical amount of money for you to have this. Now, I feel that
but most of that money's going to the printer because they're printing such a small run, right?
they're only
Yeah,
printing one at a time.
right,
Like
right,
when you
right,
buy one, they only print. And I try to tell people that it's like you're getting a rare magazine too. Like the amount of these that will exist in the world are based on you guys buying them. Like or me like trying to alleviate tax liability by buying copies myself and sending them to people as like marketing material. You know what I mean? Like,
right, right, right. You're paying for your own copies though, yeah. And
oh yeah, I mean, but I pay
instead
for
of
print price. I just it.
doing a bulk print run,
I'm just trying
eating
to
the
find a
cost for
way
that and trying to make it back a different way. Yeah.
where we can make the most, give the customer the best product, but also have to put the least amount of money in up front. You know what I mean? Like, and this is really like what we're doing right now is the only thing that's economically viable on both ends. Fair, my mom always says fair is what's equitable to everyone. Like
Okay. Yeah.
in this three-part equation between the printer, the customer, and us, the person, it's not fair, and it's all on the side of the person that's printing it. But they're
Right.
printing it, they're mailing it to you. You know what I mean? Like they're delivering it to your door. Like, um, so there's, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I think maybe actually I should talk to some of my fucking tech bro buddies, and like that would be a good print on demand thing where you could do it with subscriptions so that people can pay you the subscription up front,
Right.
and they handle all the order fulfillment for your subscription.
Right. I'm saying to try to get away from print on demand, because you're going to be paying the printer for most of that because of how small a run it is. Look into Mountain Gazette.
Mountain Gazette. Okay. Yeah, I'll look into it. I just I don't want to have to I don't want to pay $1,000 to buy 100 copies of a magazine and then have to move those like every time I move for the next couple of years. I think we lost him again.
You
Thomas
back?
Morton. There he is. He's a trooper. Yeah, so anyway, I don't know. That's like the one dilemma of it. And
I get you. Yeah.
hard to not compromise the idea of like the product, the artwork should be the product. Like, don't buy a band's t-shirt, buy their fucking record. Don't buy, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Don't buy I don't want to be a magazine. I don't want to be a t-shirt company with a fucking magazine.
Right, right, right. I
Like
get you.
I had a buddy of mine who would sit around and listen to fucking Warren Buffett when he was smoking weed. And he's not even, I don't know if that's a Republican guy or whatever. He's just like into money and shit. And
Your friend or Warren Buffett?
but is Warren Buffett a Republican? I don't know
I
anything.
forget.
Huh?
I said I forget.
Oh, okay. But he has a good quote saying like if you want to go broke, start a t-shirt company. You know?
Hmm.
That keeps ringing in my head. I'm like, but the only way to like, I don't know. Because essentially what this is with this whole licensing deal that I'm doing with my fiction writing, like this is supposed to kind of be like you were talking about yesterday, where like if you don't have something in the works that you've been doing for years, like that they're not really going to show any interest in it. Some of the people that I'm
Yeah.
working with are kind of like, you need to have more of a backstory. You know what I mean? Like because
Okay.
like I may have been at I may have been living a certain lifestyle that I write about
Yeah.
for a long time, but I've only really been in the writing game a couple of years. So it's like part of why they're encouraging me to do the magazine is like to just add more to the resume or the story of, your the writing life, not just the life that you write about,
Right,
like
right, right. Okay. I get you. Yeah.
so it's to try and essentially what we're trying to do is like build up a big catalog and of like just good content and then hope that we can get like another round of funding in a year.
Oh,
You know what I
okay.
mean? Right. It's like
Yeah.
startup, but for media. Because these guys come from the tech world.
Right.
So and it's so funny, like how I ended up meeting these dudes. I was kind of like a bag man for these techies. Like I would like make sure they had drugs when they were getting ready to go to Burning Man and shit. Like they weren't necessarily my friends, but we all drink at the same bar and shit. And I'm not a guy who like draws lines. I have friends. I was telling you this yesterday. I have a
Hmm.
friend who, now that I've seen the Gavin McGinnis documentary, I know that he must worship Gavin McGinnis, but I didn't know anything about his
Oh, okay. Yeah.
cult following. So I just got this friend who starts, he's always been a troll. He's like pushing 40 and he's that guy who still pulls his balls out in every photo, like he just has to fuck with people constantly.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that he was probably listening to the preachings of Gavin McGinnis when he started wearing those fucking Trump hats.
Yeah.
But I forget why I was even bringing him up. Oh, I was just saying, I have a friend like that. I don't care whatever your political thing is. If we're buddies, we're buddies. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're in STEM, if the company you work for, one of my best friends during the whole tech invasion, she worked at Walmart. It's like I hated Walmart and fucking and the techies who were making everything too expensive. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, but whatever. I should have, in theory, hated her. I just feel like why separate yourself from a good experience with a human being because you're essentially some kind of like punk rock elitist, like
Well, I mean, what are you accomplishing either?
right. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
like, hey, yeah, that'll show them. I'm not. That's right. You don't got me to hang around with anymore. That's the thing about the costs of whatever it is you're either doing or saying. Yeah,
I was
I'm
curious. I mean, do you like go back to Georgia and like have friends that you go shoot guns with in the woods or that are maybe not
I
politically
grew up
aligned with you?
I grew up in the suburbs. It wasn't very rural there. I'd go, I mean, before my dad died, I'd go shoot at the gun range with him, but that was like handguns. It wasn't I think I was telling you. It was like I grew up near the South, not in it, you know?
Yeah. Whenever I want to appear more Southern, I'll say I grew up in the South, but Florida, we all know
Oh,
Florida's.
sure, yeah. No, I'd use it to my advantage if I need to. Yeah.
And now I am now as a Southern man, like I've interjected into some
Well, I'm
arguments
either
with
from Atlanta or I'm from Georgia. It depends on who I'm talking to.
I have a buddy who has to say Atlanta, Georgia every time somebody asks him where he's from. And he talks with a very thick Atlanta, Georgia. Like,
Atlanta, Georgia.
yeah.
Yep.
I wonder if you know him. He's about your age too. He's a fucking wild man. I think he might be a little, I think you hang out with some wild people, but he's like, I don't think you would know him. Wild dude.
What's
I don't want to say
uh,
his name on the recording.
okay.
But he's a pretty notorious like dirtbag in the Atlanta area. I think he even may have gone on tour with the Black Lips a couple of times. I don't
Does his name start with an L?
know. No,
Oh, okay, never mind.
doesn't matter. Man, you know what a interesting documentary would be, like music wise, would be like. Remember that band from Atlanta? No, they were probably when you already were gone, called the Heart Attacks.
I don't know the heart attacks.
Yeah, they were. I don't even really know their music that well, but I've heard these like I hear these whispers of their story here and there, and apparently it's like kind of a Daniel Johnson or Rocky Erickson situation where the main creative guy kind of lost his mind, maybe so to speak, had mental health
Oh,
struggles. Like
no, I know who this is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think being
These guys, they used to hang out across from 529 at that place Flatiron.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's that
I
whole
don't I
like
don't I don't know much more than that. I don't know their story.
yeah, it's again, it's like maybe too much excess or maybe
Oh,
some
they were
art.
Hellcat. They were on Hellcat Records.
I don't know what that is.
That looks right. That's guy from Rancid's record
Oh,
label.
cool. I guess that must mean they're good. I don't know.
That's
When I'm my early 20s, I quit drinking for a little while and started going to AA meetings just to kind of see, if I had a problem or something, like feel it out. I also had a
right.
girl, I had a girlfriend who demanded it. It was like find a new place to live or go to a fucking meeting every day. And
There. Yeah.
which is a great way to get sober. I don't know if you still drink. I mean, I know you work at a bar, but
Not a lot, but
uh,
yeah.
yeah, it hurts the older you get. You
Oh,
say
yes, it does.
you
Yeah.
start to notice that in your 30s, but then you just party right through it, and then by 40, you're like, no, this is actually like I'm injured now every time I drink. Like, uh, but I forget. I was going on some other fucking
Yeah.
rant.
Past 30 hangovers get real. Yeah.
Now at 40, they're just I can either not drink at all or I have to drink some beers every night. Like, there's no taking days off. I feel too shitty to where I'm like, just
Right, right.
drink a beer. You know how to fucking fix this shit. Like, fucking,
Do you find as you get older, I spend I get drunk once or twice a year.
oh,
Probably these days. But whatever, I'm old and lame. But do you find you wake up without the hangover and then it kicks in around 6 or 7 at night instead of early
yes.
in the day? Okay.
Exactly. Yes, that's
That's
exactly the problem. That's why I
that
say I need to
that
drink every night because I'll wake up and be like, "Oh, that was a good one. Tied one on last night." And then by the time the coffee's wearing off in the evening, I'm feeling like death. And the only
suddenly it kicks in, right? Yeah. I
yeah,
don't remember that when I was younger,
no.
the delay. And I feel like the delay is getting longer, which is odd, you know.
Yeah, my inability. Well, I'm also in this situation because one thing I did want to touch on, but I wasn't sure if you wanted to, but I think we don't have to reveal too much about ourselves, but like I've heard in a number of these things and like kind of doing my homework on you that you're sounding like you're in this kind of like holding state. You say I'm living like a retiree right now too. So a lot of what you've described is like kind of, well, I'm just kind of hanging out. Like,
Oh, I stick around most days. Yeah. No.
yeah. That's where I've kind of been since post COVID. Like I started getting a little bit of passive income and one of the realization I had in that and having money that I didn't have to go get every day was like then I had time to like work on my passions more. I always am busy, I'm always working on some kind of art or music or writing or whatever. But now I can work on it full time. It's been like this a couple of years now, and it dawned. I was like, Jesus Christ, man! Everyone who is successful at these things, it seems like not everyone, but I wonder how many people who are successful at this same thing right now at my age had the opportunities that I had to like fight for like I had to get a book deal and invest the money right to like just have a modest Midwest home and a tiny little apartment in New York in a co-op, Uh, but it was that was a strange realization where it's like, oh wow, the deck really is fucking stacked in some people's favors. And I didn't realize it until I loaded the deck for myself. You know what I mean? Like until I set up,
Right, right.
I had the freedom to focus on my shit. That it's like, oh wow, some people get to go to college for 4 years and fucking take a year off, go to
Yep.
Europe,
As the brain said, money changes everything. Yep.
Yeah. But it's also led to this like dangerous amount of freedom, where like when you get into this habit of like, well, I fucking woke up, did chores, played golf, worked on the book, did something, edited, touched the
Yeah.
editing equipment a little bit, and it's 3 o'clock. I've been up since 6. Like, might as well start drinking, like, uh, because like I'm in this weird last couple of years has been like I've probably put more alcohol in my body in the last like let's say 5 years than I ever have in any 5 year period in my life. Like the
Yeah.
volume of it because I can afford it and I
Right.
have the time to do it, but it has the least amount of consequences.
Right.
I'm not like out getting into fucking bar fights or getting handcuffed or getting involved with fucking crazy women, So it's a weird state of like quasi alcoholism I found myself in recently where it's like it's not really that bad, but like you really shouldn't be doing this much, Like a person shouldn't drink 12 beers every day for a month straight. Like it's not good for you. Like,
It'll catch up.
but I figured you were probably still getting the party on if you're attending bar.
Oh no. No, no, no,
No,
no. Do a shot with the clientele every so often, but
you can
like,
do that. You could just have a shot and then like not have any more alcohol the rest of the night.
yep.
Oh, good.
I mean, you're working behind a bar, you're working,
True.
There's it's a job you can do like tipsy, but you don't want to be fucking drunk.
Dude, what do you think about
Great way to knock shit over. Yeah.
why don't you do like a YouTube show where you're like you're the host and then the guy sitting at the bar, when you work those slow bartending shifts and you got the one buddy who comes and hangs out. It's like a Tuesday, nobody ever comes in. So you're like, hey, Frank, come and sit at the bar, talk to me while I work. That'd be a cool like podcast format.
I think we're describing something that Gavin McInnes himself has done
Really?
in his like little home bar. Yeah.
Oh, I
No,
don't
it's that's a tried and true like capturing the barfly life or the barfly
I didn't know that.
conversation.
I should fucking know by now. Everything's already.
It's a good idea. No, it's a that's an evergreen. Yeah.
Dude, or what about how about this? Take it one step further. Have your guest mix it with hot ones. Have your guest bar back for you.
Oh, clean stuff, like make somebody clean stuff up.
Like how they have to eat hot chicken wings. Like you always
Oh, I
used
never thought about that as a punishment. I thought it was
to,
sort of like
no,
I haven't actually ever watched Hot Ones,
they get
but
to.
I thought it was like a feat of strength. I didn't realize it was sort of like they were being
Well, I mean,
they're
why
being
is it?
tortured.
Why is being a fucking bar back a bad thing? I mean, I only suggest it. It just popped in my head. But I mean, you worked when you would do uh balls deep. Like you were setting up the carnival tent with the people, not the carnival,
Sure,
the church tent.
sure. That 10 wouldn't have gone up if we hadn't helped out. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe you could flip it on its head, and now your guest comes and works with you. Like, and you guys just the podcast, you guys talking back and forth while you're working a shift together. It's like a show,
Okay.
entertainment, not necessarily journalism.
Yeah, yeah. But
Like,
I would feel bad making them do the bad job though.
but you go to places where you're the outsider, and you do the grunt work with them.
Right, but that's my show. And so this on my show, I wouldn't sit right with me
But you just as
to
a
have
bartender,
him doing the dishes,
I don't know. I don't see it as a.
I would do the dishes. I like doing the dishes.
So you would. So your idea of this show would be somebody else comes in and guest bartends, and you bar back for them.
Maybe, yeah.
You're looking at me like I'm fucking crazy. I don't know.
I don't think I think you can strip the gimmick away. You can just talk to people.
I don't know. I feel like you got to do something exciting. You got to get a cool background. You got to
You can
say,
have a cool background, that's fine. Yeah. But it's like I think of like the hot ones thing. And is there a methodology there? Do the people as they eat the hot ones grow more candid about themselves, or do they just sit there and sweat and sometimes say, ooh, that one was that like,
no, I
ooh,
think it's
that's
exactly
the
like
ghost pepper. Yeah.
it's like this. How the first part of this recording, I was like, oh, I have a list, and like there's too many things to ask questions. But then it starts, going smoother when it's like, let's just talk, and then I'll
Yeah.
edit it all in the. So yeah, I think maybe putting them in that distressed state, like how I was just like, oh, I'll record this conversation with him, and that'll be like a little podcast to go along with a write up, and maybe I'll write something
Right.
about his movie.
Well, it's like it's always good to do an interview with somebody who's driving a car because part of their mind is focused on the road, and people speak looser and with more candor, in my experience, in general,
So
sort of.
that's where that comes from. That's why documentaries, there's always like some footage of the person driving.
Well, and it's also you end up in a car with somebody, and that's a perfect time to talk to them too. But it's I always I found interviewing people while they were driving or while, you're in a car with them. I would also, have to do when we are making things pieces to camera where I described like what was, the background of whatever the story is, or the moments where I'm like explaining things to the camera, and doing that behind the wheel was always um, easier, and more natural feeling than standing somewhere and trying to like, either look straight in the camera or consciously avoid ever looking in the camera.
Yeah, because
Um,
there is like a big hang up there. I think it's part of the reason. I think you would have a different experience talking to me if we were on the phone, but the fact I could see myself right here throws me
yeah,
off a little bit.
it's
Like,
tricky. It's like having a mirror like present and pointed at you.
yeah, but I also can't do I don't know. I remember in an interview you said you had a podcast, but I don't know if you have a partner, but I've tried doing the just solo podcast, like set up a camera and stare at it, and that is that's like emotional quicksand. Like
I
I want to look
I
up
yeah. I'm
and
not one of the I marvel at the people who do that week after week. That's a part of the brain I don't got. Yeah.
I wonder if it's just all in post. Like it just seems more seamless because they're editing it well, you know? Like,
Well, I look at folks who do this week after week, and it's like you got to get good at it. Like after a while, you
yeah,
know, that's just the natural,
and be aware of your bad
effect of
habits.
repetition, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Shit. I mean, fuck. I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird egg to crack. Like everybody gives me this advice. When I went on that, I have a, I'm gonna just warn you right now. I don't think that if you do that Matt Cox show, you're gonna like him very much as a human being. And I'll tell you.
okay.
Uh,
I
uh,
haven't checked them out yet. I haven't gotten
no,
a chance
I
to sit
wouldn't
down
if I were you.
and look
Like,
through stuff. I'll check them out.
let me tell you what happened. Okay, so
I like to know about things,
he wrote this book. You'll find this pretty interesting. So Tom Segura started this rumor on his podcast that Garth Brooks could potentially be a serial killer. Have you heard this one?
Nope.
Okay,
Which
it's like
which one is he supposed to be?
uh, he's not supposed to be anyone.
Oh,
He's
it's not
supposed to
it's
be
not an
like,
existing serial killer with a name who hasn't been caught. This is a
yeah,
okay.
it's like he's an active serial killer because he travels the country so much, and like he's pointed out these little things about personality, maybe like questionable personality traits where he kind of like had a goth phase. Did you know about that?
Chris Gaines. Yeah, I remember the Chris
Yeah.
Gaines year. Yeah.
So he just made this whole case like as a satire, and like his fans have gotten into it. They show up at his shows with like, "Where are the bodies buried, Garth?" Like,
Uh
yeah, and clearly he's not happy about it. But Matt Cox, who is a opportunist, he was a mortgage fraudster, and he's also a writer. He decided to, with a friend of his, use AI tools to do research on missing and murdered people that correlate with Garth Brooks tour dates. And so he wrote this kind of what he calls a satire, but it's really just like an AI generated like fake news book uh,
yeah.
that's called Bodies in Low Places.
Cute.
Yeah. And so I go there the last time and he's like bragging about how he's like, check this out, dude. Look at these. Show me a bank account. And he's like, these are all Amazon deposits from that Garth Brooks book. And I'm like, cool, awesome. Like, good for you. You know, you hit it. Like, you know, this is what every writer would love to see that kind of money going. It's probably at that point he probably made like 30 grand off the book, like just from Kindle Direct Publishing. And uh he grabs my books I bring him to talk about on the show, right? He grabs my books and he's like flipping through them and he's just laughing like smugly. Like, yeah. Okay, well, these look self-published. And I'm like, they are self-published. Like, and I'm like, I think that the kind of raw format here is what people appreciate about them, you know, it adds a little charm. It's like pulp. I
Yeah.
write kind of like neo pulp, you know, like um losing Thomas again. No, there he is.
I'm here.
So anyway, he puts my book down. He's like, all right, here's what you got to do if you want to make money as a writer nowadays. And he gives me this whole like fucking shakedown on this is how you sell books, right? And essentially what it was like the equivalent of you like coming to me and being like, Millhouse, I want to be in a punk band. Like, can you help me record my punk band? Like, I got this vision of being in a punk band. And I'm like, nah, you know what, Thomas? Like, you should be a rapper. Like, there's a lot of money
A
in
lot of
white
money.
rappers right now,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And like, so that's the kind of disconnect you can
Yeah.
expect from him if you do go on his show. It's like he's not going to see things the way that we do. Like, you know, he doesn't understand art, I guess. Like, you know, passion projects. Like everything has to make money. Like, we've been on here for 3 hours. This motherfucker keeps freezing. Now I'm getting fucking Gavin McGinnis fucking YouTube updates or notifications. He's
You
back.
back?
Yeah.
Okay. Lost you there.
I don't know how much of that you missed.
I may have to, I got a call in about 20 minutes. I'm going to need to get
That's
off,
fine.
get ready for that.
Yeah. Well, do you want to plug anything or what are you working on? I mean, isn't that what you do at the end of a?
I mean, if this is going up tomorrow, yeah. I've got I guess I have a Substack called Compost Mintus, but it's misspelled. If you, yeah, I don't know. See if I can get some good writing done this year. But if not, so goes.
Well, okay. Cool, man. I mean, well, you know, you were a, you know, a major voice in some pretty developmental years for me, and I'd like to see you doing more, man.
Well, thanks. I'd like to. Yeah, no, I'll figure some shit out.
No, good, shit, good. Yeah. I mean, well, I mean, dude, I know it's a rough
Got
landscape.
nothing else to do.
I just got into the right. I see again, this is like gentrification. This is my luck with gentrification is like you move to a city is when it's like the last time it's going to be affordable for someone in your tax bracket. And it's like the last like or the only period of success I've had. It's like there probably won't be any like anybody making a living off writing in a few
Right?
years, man. Like, I
That's
mean,
the feeling. Yeah, it's tricky. You got to love it.
yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you, and because I know this is almost over, and I really don't want to offend you, but what's the deal with the vape? Is that weed, or is that
No, that's just the jewel.
yeah? Oh, okay.
I
You're
just
not
like the jewel.
you're not like concerned about like necrotic pneumonia or anything like that from it, like
No, not really.
no. Okay.
Better than smoking. I wasn't a heinous smoker, but lungs hurt less.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I was just curious.
Yeah. We'll see. It's not going to be good for you.
I
Like,
just
but
didn't know the other night
the
when we
idea that it would somehow be worse than cigarettes is laughable. Um,
yeah.
it would be better than that. It would be somewhere in the middle. But it's like it's kind of funny because I was part of this too. It's like everybody was there's a real sense of like I hope they get something worse than cancer because of
Oh,
people's irritation with it, which I was like I was part of that too. I was like pre the jewel when there would be these weird bubbler things and it would always be some guy in a fedora and a t-shirt. You'd be like, this ain't job as sail barge, fucker. Like
yeah. You're talking about the ones where it sounds like they're calling in a fucking airstrike, like like the
well, they
one.
would bubble. Yeah, and the ones bubbling like back
Uh,
10 years ago at
yeah,
this point. Jesus,
I'll
yeah.
just go with good old fashioned fucking tobacco. Um,
That's
no, I was just curious. I wasn't. It's not a judgmental thing. I'm just always. I always like to just see where people are at with it. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah.
Because I have a bartender friend of mine, or she died from some kind of weird pneumonia, and yeah, it was just, she was so young, you know, and
Yeah.
they think it was because, but she was also one of these ladies who's just like while she's standing behind the bar all night long, like you know, and I don't know if she used that brand, you know, it's like
Mm,
now it seems like
right.
it's the, you know, and then who knows? I'm kind of curious to see what the health side effects are going to be of these Zins that people are putting all in their face because I know you remember health class with the chewing tobacco, fucking the guy with no jaw, you know,
Right,
like
right, right. You can get throat and jaw cancer. Yeah.
yeah,
That's true. None of it's good for you.
no. Well, I appreciate you talking to me for so long. I hope we get
Hey, thanks,
something
man. Yeah.
productive out of this. Like, and I haven't decided what I want to write something up about you for the next issue. I'm just not sure what it's going to be. Maybe like a career retrospective or something, or maybe just something about the movie. Uh,
That's very nice. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm kind of, I don't know if you ever use this tactic, but I'm learning that like, uh, the like kind of the hustle for me to get people to work with has been like write something. I didn't do this with you. I just sent you a message, but like write something nice about them first, unprompted,
Sure.
and then
That's,
send it to
yeah.
them, send them the post, and then
I like writing nice things about people unprompted just in general. And that's a good, yeah. But
well,
it is, that certainly would seem to be a good foot in the door.
it seems well, I'm not doing it necessarily just to be manipulative, like work with me here, but
No,
like
no, 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 no. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying there's too much. It's like trash talk is such the default model. Uh,
yeah.
kind of like,
So you get where I'm going. So like I did this
yeah,
on this girl Nika Urban. She's a tattooer and an artist, and uh, she read the piece that I wrote about her artwork, and she's like, I feel seen as an artist for the first time.
it's very
And
nice.
like, it's like, yeah, I've developed this like skill of writing. I may not be as good as some of the greats, like the Thomas Mortons of the world, but like, uh,
Sure.
it never occurred to me, like if me and you were sitting around drinking beers, I would probably say the exact same things about that girl's artwork in conversation.
Right,
But it
right.
never ever occurred to me to fucking write it down and put it out there for the public to see it. And now like I'm like fucking addicted to it to where like I'm cool with the magazine being fucking shocking and having some questionable material in it,
Right,
but what I really want to do is just keep doing that. It's just
right. It
writing
doesn't
these
all
things.
have to be against someone. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm a big fan of that. As I said earlier, it's nice to be nice. You
Yeah, I
know.
mean, I'm really taking on a Thumper. Remember Thumper from Bambi? If you don't
Yeah,
have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Like,
yeah.
I didn't start doing this to just trash people. I'm sure I could be just as good at trashing people as I am at complimenting them, but when you get older, you start to see certain things as like a gift to yourself, like
Hmm.
like patience. Like I had to go to the DMV the other day and I was a little bummed because it was busy, but I was like, I kind of like being patient now. Like
Takes.
I like getting into an opportunity where I have to be patient. Like I'm cool as a cucumber, especially if somebody else is fucking freaking out over it. I'm cool as a cucumber. So it's almost like that's another like I never thought I would unlock that. I never thought I would unlock like, oh, it's really nice to like I like this feeling of like encouraging
Yeah,
people and
yeah.
you don't realize how little for a woman to say at 36 years old, I feel seen as an artist for the first time. That means that there's a considerable lack of people saying nice shit to each other. And I'm pretty underground. I live under a fucking rock, dude. Like, so I don't interact with a lot of people. But so yeah, I mean that's where we're at. That's where I'm at.
Tell people you like why you like them. It's a good policy. It's good practice.
Yeah, and it also alleviates the anxiety of like, what am I going to write about next? Because Burroughs said, write what you know. So for here until the foreseeable future, it's like write about what's influenced you up to this point, and write nice things about them. Hope that it fucking you know meets
Hope it.
them well or whatever you call it. Like uh, yeah, I just yeah. Oh, one last thing I wanted. I know I can see you're Nancy. But it's one thing is an important part. Were record reviews on Vice were they intentionally like misinformative?
I mean,
Like
they were usually kind of 80% in service of a joke because the record reviews would be no more than like 100 words. There was like
right,
we didn't buy into the pitchfork thing where you need an essay for every Sufjan Stevens record, that you could kind of get to your point about what it sounded like and whether you like the person reviewing it liked it or not, in a much shorter space. But it was just like it was like all the text within the magazine. It was like if like the joke is the top priority of anything. And if it's
right. So
like if it's
there were a couple records that I encountered in print on Vice, sitting on the toilet reading it, where I was like, I know this record. Like this is a good record, and it got a horrible fucking review. And then there were like even Vice bands that were on the label that I was like, why would they get? And it wasn't that the review in the words were horrible; it was the rating that it would get. So I always
right.
had this like, when you like mishear song lyrics or whatever. Like I was like, I bet you they put a bad rating on it because they don't want you to know about it. Like,
Nah, your taste may vary. Nobody would we wouldn't be reviewing anything well, first of all, I don't know why, like on our own record label, why would we want people not to buy the records? Um,
Well, maybe I'm misremembering that then. But I could have swore I
I
remember.
think I think you saw bad reviews for things that you liked, and it was like, yeah, taste may vary. We were,
Yeah.
you
Huh.
know,
Interesting.
kind of obnoxious, opinionated people. And that's who, it's fun to talk about music with.
Weird. That's how like earnest I am. Where I'm
Ah,
like, they couldn't actually be talking shit
it
about
must have been,
it.
yeah, it must have been some sort of weird scheme.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
has
get
to be
you. Yeah.
subversion or something, like you guys are like, no, you don't. You're like you're not cool unless you know about this, and we're not going to give you any help, kind of thing. Like we're not going to tell you what the cool shit is, and if you don't know, if you don't get I just
The whole magazine was telling people what the cool shit was.
right, but I don't know why. Why would I get that impression? Then maybe it's just the way my brain works. I don't know, but like I, I always wanted to ask somebody who worked at like the core early Vice if there was ever some kind of like inside initiative to like spread some disinformation about certain
Oh
things.
no. I mean, we once had
As
a
an
hoax
inside
issue
joke.
called we had a hoax issue called the truth issue, but that was kind of basically making fun of the media landscape. No, everybody there was there because they wanted to be there and was earnest about what they wrote about. Nobody was getting paid enough to be pulling off any sort of scheme. And that's like, and anybody who was worried about preventing other people from being into the cool thing they were isn't the kind of like person we would have been hanging around with. That describes a deeply unpleasant kind of way of looking at the world, which thankfully wasn't I didn't
Well,
run into too much in Williamsburg back then or advice. No, we loved everything we were doing. And
maybe it comes
and
back from.
especially the things we hated. Yeah.
I think it comes from the days of like being around. I don't know if you ever ran into
I
this.
also wasn't at early Vice, by the way. When I started there, Vice was 10 years old.
I mean,
I
I consider that early Vice. I'm wrong, but I consider it early Vice because it's shortly after, like maybe 4 or 5 years after I discovered it. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's the scale most
Yeah.
people use. Scale I use too. Yeah.
I mean, I lived in such a fucking, it wasn't middle of nowhere, but it was so void of any kind of culture that like you couldn't even get Vice. There wasn't a store to go to get it at a certain age. Like you had to buy it on early eBay. I don't even know if that's early eBay, but like pretty much once I found out about eBay, that was the way to get the magazines you couldn't get in my,
Right.
small hometown. Anyway, you've been needing to go for a little while. And I appreciate you, man. I hope I can
Sorry.
polish the turd up and make it cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we got
Well,
some good
keep me
stuff.
posted too. Sorry to run on you. It's just we
No,
got to
no,
get.
not at all. I'm surprised you stayed on this long. I actually thought the first time that you froze that you just Irish goodbye'd me. So
No.
I'm not used to, you're very, I hang out with a lot of people who are like fuckers, like they like to
Mm,
fuck with people. So I think in
yeah.
some of our exchanges, I've kind of expected you to be like more upset than you are. I haven't been around somebody who's just like easy
Oh.
go in a while. A lot of my friends are pretty hard nosed. So,
Once you've been shot at, rest of life is pretty breezy.
I agree. I
It's
couldn't.
all okay. My dad's dad was in World War II, or both my grandparents were in World War II, but
Me
or
too.
both
Yeah.
my granddads. But my dad's dad he was at Normandy and he was in the Bulge. And he was one of, some people come home from war like and they're fucked for the rest of their life, and they're either angry and violent, or they, struggle with, they like scream in the middle of the night or some shit like that. But the way my grandpa came back was that the rest of his life it was all nowhere, like, any problem wasn't that big a problem because the Germans weren't squirting you with machine guns. That set his um threshold of pain at an appropriate level. And I was, privileged to get shot at by ISIS so that I can make the same claim while bragging that I was shot at by ISIS.
Yeah, I had to make a very similar analogy with people. I call Midwesterners emotionally inbred because there's just not a lot of new thoughts and ideas coming in. Um,
Yeah.
and like being like a move around kid and a tumbleweed adult, like uh, I feel like I'm always constantly trying to explain to people like why why I don't have the same priorities as them.
I'm
You
sure.
know, like
Yeah.
when you grow up in fucking as a ward of the state in and out of juvenile hall and you have to get strip searched like 1,000 times before you're 18 years old, there's like certain things that just don't matter to you anymore. You know what I mean? Like the little hangups that you have because you're a little friend group or whatever, they're so far from mattering to me that you couldn't possibly fucking imagine. And
Yeah.
people take that shit personally,
It's,
like,
it's true.
uh,
Hey, I'm really sorry. I gotta
oh,
hop.
you gotta go. You gotta go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Later, brother.
Very nice talking to you.
Yeah, nice to have you.